That's not right. Hopefully that gets fixed. All right. Well, we should be live here in just a sec. My mic going through. Yes, it is. Good. Okay. Let me set up the YouTube side of things. If you're catching us in Twitch here in just a second. Hello, welcome back. It has been a minute, huh? It's been a little while. It's been a little while since I've been here. I'm off. I'm back from vacation. So, you know, it was a good time. We're better now. Got a lot of time to thunk. Did some high quality thunking. Here we go. Let me just get everything set up here. I think I've had a little too much caffeine as I am currently extremely jittery. Hello, Temmie. Yes, I know. Huh, yeah. Tell me all about it, huh, Temmie? Go ahead and get up on the bed. All right, Temmie is also ready to go. Temmie, I swear if you sit there and scream, I'm going to grab you by your little face and yeet you out the room. Give me just a second here, Twitch people. I'm just updating the YouTube side of things. I'm sure you're probably saying hello and I can't see it. And if so, hello. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. Get this up here. I'm not having any rendering lag. This is good. This is good. We love to see that. All right. Okay. That's all looking good. Let me go ahead and get this set to public. Copy this. Save this here. I can talk about some of my my trip here as well. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. There we are. Let me get the Twitch linked in here too. 1 second. Okay, that's all saved up. Good. There we go. And that. All right. I think we are properly set up here, everybody. Huh? Why is that not showing up correctly? That should be showing up correctly. What? Hold on. I'm double checking. Give me a second. Okay, that's looking good. Are we good? Is everything set okay? Okay, I'm seeing Twitch chat come through, or a YouTube chat come through, so I think we're all right. All right, I think we're good. I think we're okay. All right. Good morning. Greetings, everybody. I am now officially able to see chat and everything. We should be up and live. Hello, greetings, welcome. What's up? What's up? All right. We good? Good. Excellent. Looks like everything is correctly set up. Yes, yes. Hello. Good. How do you keep motivation? I'll be honest, I'm struggling with it. I am very much struggling with motivation. People hate PvP because they're bad at it, and that's all there is to it. False. I'm a firm believer if you build it, they will come. Nerf Prism Hunter and make hand cannons slightly harder to use. I'm not even going to talk about sandbox changes here. I'm actually not even going to mention sandbox changes here. Although, we could discuss it a little bit. I'll put it that way. I don't think sandbox is the major problem right now in PvP. I actually think that there's fundamental things that need to be updated that haven't been updated for years. Is the sandbox an issue? Yes. Is it the primary reason people don't play with this game? I don't think so. What's up, Misum? What's up? I hate PvP because it's hard to break into it with how many experienced players there are that are in there. I just end up getting battered over and over again. It's hard to stay motivated. Interesting. Can't get out of bed to play Destiny right now. No motivation after the incident. Yeah, I honestly feel that. I had a hard time kind of dragging myself to stream today, if I may be honest. I hate PvP because you can get banned for matching with a hacker in your team. Well, that's not true. That's only if you're with a hacker on your fire team, not in your normal lobby. I hate PvP because I want to play a fun build, not a hand cannon shotgun, but if I don't play hand cannon shotgun, I don't have fun. Yeah, we'll talk about sandbox stuff. I actually think that there's more to it than sandbox stuff. I don't hate PvP, I choose to ignore because I don't enjoy it. Right, I think that there's things that could be addressed that could fix that. Okay, I'm bad at PvP and I don't like PvP. Stop forcing players to play PvP who don't want to. Nobody's forcing you to play PvP. Sam, I'm curious, how do you feel like Bungie is forcing you to play PvP? Don't hate PvP, but I hate the people who shit on people who try their best to improve. Yeah, that's a community sentiment. I absolutely see that. Absolutely see that. I think that there's some things that we could address to see that. Score system and SBMM make it difficult to enjoy more. Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, I don't love PvP as an outside sandbox, but more Models that aren't bad. Iron Banner cranked mode could be nice to see, right? The comp, actually like make it a test for only gunplay, no abilities. It would be interesting to see certain things like that. After Valorant launched on console, I haven't played PvP. Interesting. Love your content. Stay motivated. Thank you. Last night, I logged off after most of my team quit and left 3 of us versus the other team. PvP is great with a populated non-quitter base. Why do you think people are quitting? Because I actually think that that's there's something worth addressing there. People want to completely remove Prismatic Hunter, such a backwards way of thinking. I mean, it's sort of a band-aid solution, but I don't completely disagree with it. Yeah, you're literally not forced to play PvP, yeah. Play PvP every day, and I hate it because it's fun. Like, actually, I actually enjoy it, and I can't stop, right? Such as True Vanguard. I mean, I understand where he's coming from, though. I actually do. I understand where he's coming from. It's so dominant right now that it's a problem. It's rather a rather large problem. I got banned for being laggy. Yep. Wayfinder, whatever it's called, does require you to play PvP. If you get unlucky with challenges on it. I see. Misim, you're back. Yes, I am. I am returned from my vacation. Non-ability PvP modes are actually really fun. I agree with that. I think that they're pretty fun. Okay, let's get into the actual screen here. I'm gonna be this is a discussion discussion stream, right? So we're mostly gonna be chatting with y'all over what's going on. I'm just gonna log into my Warlock here. I am not going to be doing a whole lot today. Just a word of warning here. Let me set this here to, I'll do friends only, whatever. Okay. Okay. So let's actually discuss some things here, because I believe that there are bigger, more top-down problems that make PvP less enjoyable than a simple sandbox thing. Because I agree, the sandbox is not great right now. In fact, this is one of my least favorite sandboxes in the entire history of this game. This is like top 5 least favorite sandboxes, like most hated sandboxes kind of deal, right? I agree that the sandbox is in fact a bit of a problem, right? But I think that there's more to it than just that. More to it than just that. So I'm kind of reading through chat here because I want to see what y'all's discussions, what y'all's thoughts are on some of this. Let's see. Okay. So solo player, I hit PvP sometimes when the game thinks I can carry 2 people in comp or trials, but I can't. Yeah, that's a lobby balancing issue. I don't know why they're quitting, but I do see a trend. The moment a team starts losing, at least one person just quits. Yeah, that's fair. I think from a top-down thing, I think Bungie makes losing not fun, right? I think losing should be fun. I know that's a bit of an odd thing to think about, but I think some of the, like, think about a roguelike, right? Think about a roguelike. Roguelikes make losing fun. When you lose a game, you're not feeling like, ah, man, I just wasted all this time. This is such BS. I hate this. Instead, you're like, damn, that was a really good run. I'm going to go again. You know what I mean? Bungie refused to actually balance PvP rather than just nerfing things that Sweats complained about on Twitter and leaving things. Oh.
I feel poor primary reason that PvP is the culmination of many different issues. Most of which is just negligence and population sizes.
Sure. I think that there's more to it than just population sizes. I'll agree with you on negligence, though. I think it's a lack of creativity on Bungie's side. Jack of Blades is mentioning something about the balance being around what Sweats complain about, not what other people complain about. And I kind of agree. As somebody who is in the top 0.1% myself, let me see if I still have this picture somewhere. Surely I still have this saved. Yeah, I can still flex this here. Take a look at this. As somebody who is in the top 0.1%, almost top 500 in the world, not just PlayStation, for, this is Control, this is Quick Play, right? I feel like I have some ground to stand on when I say I kind of agree, right? I know this isn't like Trials or whatever, I'm not like some incredibly cracked player or whatever, but I feel like this gives me enough of enough, what's the word I'm looking for? Credibility to be able to speak on some of the balance issues and to speak on some of the things and say like, yeah, I can kind of speak with some authority on this, right? But I'll keep that there because I'm sure somebody's going to come in here when I start talking about things that they don't want nerfed or changed or whatever. But I actually don't want to address specifically the sandbox. The sandbox is a problem, but I think it's a smaller problem than what we're by addressing the sandbox issues, we're addressing the wrong points of pain, right? but we'll get there. Let's see. I'm a little behind. Let me skip ahead a little bit here. I'm sorry. If you have something you really think is worth chatting about, let me know. Lack of creativity, definitely. Yeah, okay. Also, rewards are not really good right now. Hard agree. If there's one thing I know about the PvE player base and such, if there's one thing that I know about just how Destiny players interact with this game, it's that they will go through cock and ball torture if the rewards are good enough. They will stick themselves through just about damn near anything if the rewards are good enough. And if they're not engaging with it, the rewards probably aren't worth it. Right? Can I get an amen from the chat? Let me see some of these chats here. As a lower skilled PvPer, hearing high skilled players complain about SBMM and only being matched with sweats just tells me that they want to shit on me. That's not fun for me. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I initially started out with a pretty staunch opinion against SBMM, like a pretty hard opinion against SBMM. I'm more on board with it recently. I like, as time has gone on, I've softened my opinion to it, to the point where I'm kind of like, you know, I'm all right with both. I'm all right with both. I personally think that it should be more of like a toss-up between what ends up happening, right? I think it should be more of a situation where, let's say 80% of the time it's SBMM, and then 20% of the time you'll get those games where it's connection-based matchmaking. I actually think it'd be really cool is if your first game on was, let's say if you're like top 10% player, let's say, your first game on after 24 hours is connection-based matchmaking, and then every game following is skill-based matchmaking. Sort of like a warm-up game, right? Because the top 10% of players are, you know, generally going to stomp on the other team, the other group of players, right? But if you give them that sort of that little taste, that the first hit's free, I think more sweats would be more involved with that. And then for the lower skilled players, you can keep them purely on SBMM for their first games, right? And then open it up to the connection-based matchmaking after a handful of games, right? Because, like, I agree, it is fun to stomp and such, but I also, like, personally, I find the most fun, Destiny is at its best. Destiny PvP is at its absolute best when both teams are playing to their best and they aren't playing lame. When both teams are engaging with Destiny in the way that Destiny is unique, let's say they're using fun loadouts, they're using unique kits and such like that, but both teams are really giving it their all and it's a really tight match, that's when it's at its best. The hard thing is that it's nigh impossible in its current state to get something like that to happen. It's almost impossible for Bungie to give us a game where that happens consistently. Now, do I think I can fix that? No, I don't think I can, because I think that would require loadout restrictions, but I have a few ideas. Let me read some more chats here before I start going over some of my bullet points here. Let's see. I'm just going to pick one at random. Oh, private.
After finding out a certain super popular trials player lives like 10 minutes from me, I'm very okay with SBMM.
Right, yeah. That's, yeah, I feel that. Pulse and hand cannon basically killed the idea. Yeah, I don't like where the current weapon sandbox is, I think that it's a little too dominant towards high-impact pulses and just hand cannons in general. And the thing is I'm obviously coming at this from a place of bias. I don't like those playstyles, and I don't really jive with them. I don't think that people shouldn't be able to use them. I just think that it shouldn't be so lopsided that that's like the generally top, like, it's been the top usage rates for trials and for high-end PvP for years. And I think that's a bit of a problem. But I've got bigger things to discuss. Okay? Alright, maybe use the data from LightGG and give bonus XP for using weapons with less usage. Yes. Person who has Ralph from Ed, Edd and Eddy as their PFP. Yes, that is one of the ideas. Yes, I have a really cool idea to discuss that. Okay? Finally, a discussion for me personally, PvP in general has turned into a toxic wasteland that sweats, hackers, and mostly toxic players live in. And I'm not saying everyone is like this. Right. Okay. All right. The problem there is, fun loadout is extremely subjective, and the majority of players like hand cannon shotgun, but players that like weird things like bows or sidearms, people complain so much, right? Well, you're not going to stop people from complaining. Everyone thinks that the way they play is the right way to play the game, right? Everyone believes that their way of playing the game is like God's chosen way of playing the game, and if you're not doing that, you are of the devil. You're Satan themselves, right? Cheating is the only thing that kills PvP for me. That's a good thing. If it's only a cheating problem, that is like Bungie's already on that. Bungie can't solve onboarding new players. Doesn't that leave PvP to suffer? If we can't get more people to play, it's just the veterans and the sweaty players, right? Not necessarily. I think it's a lack of loot incentive, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. All right, I'm actually going to start working through my bullet points. I think a lot of you have some really good stuff to bring up, and I'm going to discuss some of this more in depth as we go along. So keep the discussion going. Stay with me on all this, all right? So stay with me, keeping the discussion rolling with this. I'm going to move some specific bullet points. The way I'm going to generally, obviously, as you guys know, I generally let these be videos, right? I'm going to make these into videos. So let me bring up something here. I believe right now, it's not a problem right now, but if I were to launch this game and then leave, I would be hit with the suspension. I would be hit with the quitter penalty. Do you want to know why I would have been hit with a quitter penalty? For a number of reasons. Well, obviously I've been quitting the game, but why have I been quitting out of control matches? Most recently, I got on, and a friend got on roughly after I'd started a match. I'd like to play the match with him, and I'd like to not leave him waiting for 10 minutes. So I left that match. Shortly thereafter, I got matched into a lobby where I'm fairly certain that at least 2 of the 3 of the enemy team was cheating. Like soft aim hack kind of thing, like Zims, that kind of thing, right? It was very suspicious how easily they were landing headshots. So I left. I didn't want to deal with it because we were at the point where the rest of the team was fighting well enough to keep it going, but it wasn't going to go to mercy. And lastly, I quit sometime in between there because I was specifically trying to test for a particular build. I was trying to test a long-range build, and I ended up getting nothing but close-range maps. I'd played the first 2, and then when the third one loaded up, I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of doing this. I'd like a properly long-range map, please, and I backed out. So I'm willing to bet if I were to play and then quit right now, I'd be hit with the suspension penalty. Here's the problem. All 3 of those things aren't really my fault. Yes, and lag. Yeah, I fortunately don't have lag problems, right? But I don't think any of those things are my fault. I don't think any of them are. And I think being hit with the suspension for, trying to enjoy the video game is addressing the symptoms, not the disease, not the problem. The leaving penalty on Crucible is, and Bungie's current, Bungie's a way of addressing it, I think, is asinine. The analogy I gave on Twitter, because I think it was Nighthawk, who was saying that he got suspended and he doesn't know why. It's like giving somebody Pepto-Bismol rather than cooking the chicken more thoroughly. Like, we're getting salmonella, and Bungie, instead of being like, you know what, you're right, we need to cook that chicken better. Instead, they're like, here, take this stomach relief medication. It's like, no, that's not the problem, you jackasses. The problem is that we've got salmonella in the chicken. The chicken isn't being cooked correctly. Giving us stomach medication for a problem that y'all are creating is not going to solve it. If your power goes out in comp, you're still suspended. Well, like, that's, like, so to be clear, I want to make sure something's clear. Leaving competitive, yeah, you should probably be hit with a penalty for that. You should probably be hit with a penalty for that. Absolutely. Right? And you might be tempted to say, well, like, what if Bungie gives us, was able to distinguish between, like, a power outage or losing your connection versus, leaving normally? The problem is that if players figure this out, they'll just start yanking power cords if they want to leave a match so that they're not hit with a penalty, right? So we can't do that. Players will find a way to optimize that for it to be a problem for Bungie. However, There are no stakes in 6v6. At least there shouldn't be. Why are we being penalized for just trying to play a casual game? Penalizing players for leaving is extremely freaking dumb. Players should be capable of leaving whenever they'd like. It's fucking quick play. And you might say, but leaving is a problem. A lot of players are leaving. I agree. Why are players leaving? Why are players leaving your matches? Lag, power outages, sure, those are understandable. But if players are leaving out of their own consent, why is that? Now you might say, well, they're losing and they're poor sports. Okay, I agree with you. That is a very high likelihood. That's a very high possibility. But why aren't we addressing, like, why do players hate losing so much? Why isn't it a situation where they're invested enough in the victory, they're invested enough in the win to still give it a shot? See what I'm saying? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. It's fucking raw. Yeah. Did COD have no punishments for leaving, but if you were hard disconnecting to save your KD, you'd be temporarily banned? Right. Yeah, because COD would hit you. If you left, they would let you know, like, hey, this is going to be counted as a loss. Right? Let me actually write that down here. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, there we go. I had to write some notes down there real quick. All right. Let me see. I'm just going to pick some of these at random. Because winning or losing means virtually nothing at Crucible. Hard agree, son of John. Hard agree. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Because people get killed by BS most of the time and they don't want to do anything with that. They just quit. Yep. If people don't like a match, they just quit. I just don't like PvP because I don't like playing PvP in any game. Okay, that's fair. I tend to get frustrated winning or losing when playing against other people. Sure, that's fair. I think that's a totally valid reason. It's not going to be for everybody, right? Also, don't get loot if you lose, so it's just a waste of time to stick in a clearly losing game, right? Yep. Because being the protagonist means I shouldn't be punished for being better than a better person and walking away from a bad situation. I'm not sure what you mean. I think there should be more passive grind to PvP, like actually working towards something regardless of the win or loss. There should be rewards that matter for Crucible rank ups, right? Sure. Players aren't leaving because they're losing. It's how they're losing. Yes, I feel like people don't mind losing a close game. A close game, but getting curb stop 150 to 60 isn't fun and clearly in an unbalanced lobby. Yep, sure, I agree with that. Good losing should be here. Give me a second. I need to close my door. 1 second, everybody. My youngest brother is playing bass right now. It's a little too groovy. It's being distracting. I agree that losing should have at least a certain level of reward. Then maybe winning rewards double the weapons or high stat armor. Sure. Sure. COD would give you an XP bonus if you finished a match out. The only modes that should have quitter penalties are comp and trials. Hard agree. And I think partially Bungie's inability to communicate that is part of the problem. Right? Let me actually write that down here too, because that's a good point. Okay, cool. Okay. PvP is fine for me personally, but I absolutely cannot stand getting paired with Timmy Too Stupid over there while trying to win honestly. Yeah, I think that's a problem with just the population as a whole. Right? I know that's more of a connection or a lobby balancing problem, like how Bungie's doing matchmaking and such. People that leave when they're getting crushed 150 to 60 should get kicked if they're up. Wait, what? People that leave when they're getting crushed 150 to 60 should get kicked if they're up 140 to 60. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. Are you saying that people that quit because they're losing should be penalized? Reason I leave matches, I feel just how imbalanced the match is and dip knowing I won't get any footage either. Yeah, that's kind of a content creator thing. Feels like trying or not won't change the outcome. Okay. Keep playing over the same teams over and over and over. Yeah, it's because you're in a skill bracket. That's the lobby that you're going to get. Get punished for losing fights. The enemy gets super special in ability, energy, while you just have to sit there and contemplate life. Hard agree. Hard agree. That's actually a really good point. I'm going to write some of this stuff down. Cool. Bro, the hell have you been? I've been worried sick. I've been on vacation. The game is pretty snowbally. Hard agree. All right, let's talk about some ways to fix PvP's problem here. The quitter penalty specifically. And then we're going to move on to other issues here. Let me get this pulled up here because this gives us a lot of the different modes and such, right? Let's look at a different map. I don't like looking at that map. This is a good map to look at. I like the look of this map. All right, we've got some modes here to look at. This looks nice. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about some ways that we could better address people quitting, people leaving, rather than just simply hitting them with the penalty. Because I don't think a quick play, a casual mode, should ever have a quitting penalty. You should be able to log in and log out as much as you like. That is your thing. But we should discourage people from doing it for other reasons. Sort of like the whole you'll attract more flies with was it molasses rather than vinegar, honey rather than vinegar, right? If you want people to stick in, reward them for sticking through it rather than punishing them for bailing out, right? I will quit a trials match if it's 4-1 and the enemy has super because it's going to be a loss anyways. At that point, you might as well just play it out then, dude. Just play it out. Just take the L, you know? Make it more fun then. Yeah, sure. How to fix PvP. Delete every archetype of gun. The only thing you can play now is 140 handgun and shotgun, stompy, gunslinger, hunter. Haha. Yes, very funny. Should take into account people's loadout. The game sees a prismatic hunter with stompy's, hand cannon, shotguns in the inventory. They should get a more skillful lobby. As much as I would like that as a general solution, here's the problem with that, Spooky. People will load in with extremely off-meta loadouts, and then as soon as their boots touch the ground, they're going to swap. Right? So they're going to forcefully, or, you know, not forcefully, but they're going to give themselves lobbies that they want and then, you know, swap to the more annoying stuff as soon as they get the opportunity to. I think that actually makes the problem worse. Give people who quit a weapon, may not be adept, but it's something. I don't think that's, no. That encourages people to quit. People leave generally when they're being farmed. It's simple truth. That is very true. That is very true. All right. So let's talk about some ways to fix this. First of all, let's look at COD. COD has been pretty much riding on the back of multiplayer, right? For the last, like, decade and a half, right? Let's borrow some of COD's homework. I grew up on COD. I don't think COD is, like, the best fit for Destiny, but there's some things that they do right. If they've been able to survive the song almost exclusively off the back of their multiplayer, probably should, you know, look at what they're doing. COD or Warzone specifically. Yeah, Warzone more recently. Right? But even still, like, just, you know, arena PvP has still been a thing that they do, right? So let's borrow some of COD's homework. First and foremost, COD will tell you that leaving a game will count as a loss, and it makes it very clear. It like, you have to kind of go, like, out of your way to back out of a match, right? Just simply putting that many layers in front of a player is good. And then they'll tell you on the screen, if you leave now, you will not get your XP rewards, and this game will be counted as a loss. As funny as that sounds, as funny as just simply making that clear to the player sounds, that will do a lot to let players know the cost, the rewards that they're potentially giving up, right? So for me as a COD player, let's say, I can sit there and I can go, well, shoot. Yeah, I am trying to level up this gun. Maybe I just stick it out, grab the XP, and call it a day, right? Or if I'm a sweaty player, let's say, and I've already got, you know, my weapons maxed out or whatever, I'm now looking for wins, and I'm thinking, yeah, I kind of want to maintain my win-loss ratio, right? And that hurts my pride a little bit, knowing that this is going to be counted as an L. Maybe I can pull it back, maybe I can pull it back. Not likely, but maybe. Right? Regardless, making it clear to the player what it is that they're going to lose, what the penalties are, what the problems are, is a good place to start, in my opinion. Guaranteed loot for streaks of completed games. That's a great idea. I think that's also a really good idea. Maybe leaving casual lobbies removes XP to the amount you'd get for the win. No, don't negative XP. That's a really bad idea. COD is a lot better for experimenting. Destiny doesn't allow that easily anymore. I agree with that. So that's number one. Number one, borrow some of COD's notes in terms of how clearly they communicate the problems that you're going to introduce to yourself if you leave, right? Secondly, loss protection. Loss protection. If you get mercy rolled, or if you join a game in progress, make it clear to the player that that would not count towards your win-loss ratio. Make it clear to the player, hey, we fucked up. That's our bad. Don't worry about it, King. You're good. Let them know that it won't count as an overall loss. And in fact, reward players heavily for games that they would have normally. Like if you get mercy rolled, give players the same amount of rewards as if they were to win. Right? Give players that reward. Maybe like slightly less than if they were to win. That way, if you're in a game where you're getting your ass kicked and it's going to be a mercy roll, you're still like, you know what? I'm okay with this. In fact, I kind of like this because this means that I'm going to get in and get out a little bit faster than everybody else. Right? I'm going to get my rewards a little bit faster. Right? Now I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, I'm getting mercy rolled, but it's okay. They will force a self-mercy. I don't think, like, I understand that that's encourages bad play. Here's the thing. Think about it like this. Both players are encouraged to throw, right? Only one team can really actually end up throwing. You know what I mean? Like, only one team can actually end up throwing. If both teams, if both players or both teams are encouraged to throw, and both players or both teams are trying to throw, what are they gonna do? Sit in the back of the map and not shoot anybody? It's just gonna be like a kumbaya. I don't think that's gonna work. I think players will interact with the game exactly the same way, and it'll just be a little pat on the back for the players who are getting their ass kicked to be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that kind of sucked. Compensation for being joined to a mercy loss. Well, both of those things, right? Loss protection for joining a game in progress and making it clear to the player that you're getting loss protection for something like that, right? And then if you are getting mercied, still reward the players. In fact, reward the players more than if they were to stick the match out normally. Maybe. It's just a thought. You see more AFK players in PvP. AFKs get kicked. Yeah, AFKs get kicked. That's already a non-issue. And also, isn't that kind of what the Sweats want? They just want a game where they just stomp on people, right? Isn't that like what players want? So what you'll end up getting, I think, is you'll end up getting players who both are trying to do their best. Because if both teams are like, you know what? I'm looking for those lobbies where the other enemy team is throwing. That's fun, right? That's the whole thing behind connection-based matchmaking, isn't it? Like, that's the reason why Sweat players want connection-based matchmaking, right? They can be AFK for 2 minutes. Yeah, and Mercy's not going to happen in 2 minutes. Personally, don't want AFKs. I don't want AFKs either. But I still don't think that would be a problem. I still think that if both teams are rewarded for doing something like that, like the team that's farming the other team, I think they're having a blast. Personally, I think they're having a blast. And the team that's getting farmed is like, whatever, not that big of a deal. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. No one wants AFKs. They just ruin the whole game. I agree. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. Let's move forward. Next up, head starts. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is. When I join a match in progress, which typically matches in progress are the games that I'm most encouraged to leave out on. Because, like, if I join into a game that's 100 to 40, I'm like, dude, what the hell am I doing here? Right? Or even if it's like, I don't know, 80 to 60, it still doesn't feel good to join a match that's already losing. Right? It still doesn't feel good to join a match that's already losing. Give players a head start. Give them super energy for how long they would have been in the game, right? So we see here on the bottom that most matches are set to be 10 minutes, right? Supers, generally speaking, are anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes, right? If I join a game 3 minutes into the match, my Nova Warp should come up in 6 minutes rather than 9. In other words, I should have a third of my super already ready to go. I think that's too hard to develop properly. I disagree, because all Bungie has to do is come here and go, what point did the player join in? All right, they joined 7 minutes into the match. That's 3 minutes. Give the player 3 minutes worth of super energy. I do not believe that that would be hard. Right? That would discourage you from leaving out because you're like, hey, I actually have super energy. There are some matches I join into. I am never going to see a super. I'm never going to see my fun thing. It's never going to happen. Give them ability regen even when they're dead. So you can have 80% super energy next round. You can have full grenade energy. I'm not sure what you're making, what you're talking about there. Clarify for me. I joined so many games where we were down big and we won and it felt amazing. Felt like the MVP. Yeah, I've done those a few times. Those are fun. Hard to say how hard it can be, but shouldn't be too hard. I don't think it's going to be hard at all. I don't think it's going to be hard at all. Like, I'm not Bungie, but I am a programmer, and I don't think running a difference between the time in, like, well, how much time has been spent versus how much time the player is in and joining at would be difficult at all. I could potentially see a problem where players are constantly leaving and rejoining on the same match, but I think that would be a little too difficult to accurately pull off. Because, like, matches get filled quick enough where if you were, like, trying to farm it, let's say, you're trying to, like, quit, you've got a friend who's playing the game, you quit and rejoin to continuously get super energy or whatever, right? I think the match would fill up too quickly for that to be a possibility. Where it wouldn't be an option for most players. Like, maybe they get it to happen once, right? But you're not going to be able to get your super off of that. Like, you could even max it out to where, let's say that the match is like 7 minutes in, so the game's basically about to end, and the game prevents you from doing it anyway. Regardless, a head start. It feels so bad to join a game where you're already losing. I meant 80% grenade energy on the next round. You'll have full grenade energy, so your abilities recharge even when you're dead. I see. Yeah, I also think that's part of the problem, but we're going to talk about snowballing here in just a bit, right? The big thing here... The big thing here is clear communication, and more than that, completion rewards. Destiny right now does have completion rewards. Let me show. Complete ritual activities. They do give you completion rewards right here, right? Like, that's a clear thing, but they need to communicate that clearer. If you back out of a match, if you leave a match, that needs to, like, a pop-up needs to come up on your screen that says, leaving the game will forfeit your completion for ritual rewards. Are you sure you still want to leave? Like, make it clear to the player what they're doing, right? And show to them, this is the thing you're going to miss out on. Are you sure you want to continue? You see what I'm saying? That clear communication. Like COD, yes, exactly. Borrow from COD's homework. They've done it for years, and it's been working. Let them keep doing it. Cool? Cool. Let's talk about snowballing here for a second, because that's also a problem. Destiny is a very snowball-heavy game, which is funny because we're talking about COD, where COD has kill streaks and such. You'd expect COD to be a bigger problem for something like this, where snowballing is a thing. It is a problem in COD, but it's a lot less of a problem, and I think that there's a couple reasons why. Bungie and Destiny allows you to hold on to your rewards more clearly. Whereas COD, for example, getting a snowball going means you have a lot of, like, kill streaks up or whatever. Those can generally be stopped, right? If you're in the middle of, like, getting ready to get an AC 130 or whatever, right? Getting one kill on that player stops their progress in its tracks. That's not the case for Bungie. That's not the case for Destiny. Super energy is rewarded every time you get a kill. Those persist even though you're dead, right? So getting killed ends up just, you know, slowing you down slightly but not stopping you. I'm not saying that you should punish players for dying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you should reward players for losing a little bit. To the point where it's not so snowbally as it is. Because right now, not only if you're winning do you get super energy to come up faster, you get special ammo more frequently, but you also have better access and control of the heavy. You have everything. You have freaking everything. It's so lopsided in the winning team's favor that the only time that this feels good is when both teams are constantly wrestling control back from each other. But if a team ever starts to win more significantly, then it becomes snowballing very quickly, to the point where if you are, you know, trying to take it back from a loss, you're having to fight a more and more uphill battle to where it gets harder and harder and harder, to the point of it where before it might have been close, it's almost infeasible. Are you saying reduce super energy from kill? No. I would say more along the lines energy gains. No. I'm saying more along the lines, let me start with something simple. Heavy ammo. Heavy ammo should spawn near the losing team's spawn. Make it harder for the winning team to grab heavy ammo. Only if it's a lopsided match. So for example, if we're in a game where it's let's say I don't know, 50 to let's say 70. So there's like a 20-point difference. That's a very small difference, right? But if you're in a game where let's say it's 30 to let's say 60. So let's say that there's like a 30-point difference. Heavy should spawn on the side of the losing team. Is it possible for the winning team to still go get that heavy? Absolutely. But if you're on the losing team, you're like, you know what? We've got a chance right now. So much so that because now heavy drops on death it didn't previously, it might be worth doing it just on a small breakpoint, like 10 points of difference. You know, like a minuscule point difference, because heavy still drops on kills, which means that if you're able to take down players controlling heavy, you basically just had a heavy delivery system. Right? Make heavy spawn less as well. I hard agree with that. But I could think that they can keep it where they're at, where the heavy spawns are at right now, if they reward the team for losing. That way, if you're getting your ass kicked, you're like, you know what, it's okay, we can try to pull it back with heavy. Because right now, if I'm winning, if my team is winning, we are going to keep winning, right? We've got things that we're going to keep winning. Heavy is anywhere from guaranteed 1 to, on a really good thing, up to 5 kills worth of just very easy kills to acquire, right? I'm talking things like rocket bunch ups, grenade launcher multi-kills. My sword here can get 6 ammo. My linear fusion can get 5, right? It's a lot of potential kills, right? Why are we giving the players who are already winning even a bigger reward for that? Not to say that they shouldn't feel rewarded, but the reward is super energy. Cool? Sounds extremely problematic to program. I hard disagree. I think that all that Bungie would need to do is to take an average of where the positions of the players are and spawn. There's already set heavy spawns. Like if you go into Mayhem, let me show this. Here, let me give you an example here, okay? Here, bear with me here. So there's already a system sort of similar to this. Let's see. Clash, I don't care. Ultra Flame, sure. Mode modifiers, Mayhem. Okay, and let's have the heavy spawn come up quickly. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds, sure. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Kind of makes it more predictable, but a strategic choice when to pop. You'd have to consider what supers have been in play or could counter yours. What was your suggestion? Or is you talking about something else? I actually think PvP is currently pretty balanced. Threat at Spectre, Swarm Grenades, and Smoke Bombs have been turned down a bit. And the weapon changes definitely need to be reverted. I still disagree with that, Minug. I still think that the PvP sandbox right now is a bigger problem. I still think that there's issues with that. But that's actually not what I'm really going to address here. I'm actually not going to mention here. If the game can't figure out what a good spawn is, I can't see them being able to implement this, honestly. I don't think that that's a problem. Because here's the thing, right? Let's look at this realistically. If we can figure this out, then a computer could figure this out, right? If I'm here, where do you think the rest of my team is generally going to be? Right? If I'm like in this spot, generally speaking, that means that my team's over here-ish. Around here. Oh yeah, the Graviton nerf. Oh, yeah, that feels weird. Ugh. They nerfed my baby. I need to fix that. Anyway, so generally that means that my team is going to be kind of like at a line behind me. Yeah, either behind me or kind of near the wall, right? Like we've already got, like, we already kind of know where the enemy, where we're going to be spawning at, right? So it's pretty clear that this side is our spawn. Somewhere over here is our spawn. Anywhere closer to here would be fine. Like even if it spawned like right here, a little bit closer would be fine. It's a bug, not a nerf. Yeah, yeah. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. The game is already programmed to have multiple heavy spawns. Let this count down. It should spawn up another one in 5. Well, maybe not. Maybe not in Mayhem. Come on. Did I break it? Because it should spawn them in random spots along the map. Not just in the center. Might be a different mode that this does it with. Nope, it's going to keep spawning here. Yeah. Bad example. Anyway, the game already has other heavy spawns throughout the map. Here, let me show you a map I know for sure. Here, let me go to orbit here. Right, but my point is that we are, like, if we as players, even like the simplest of understanding of the game, can already figure out where our team is spawning at. Here, let me go to a map I know for sure has this system. I've been to this map enough where I can show you exactly where all the heavy spawns. Mayhem, they spawn constantly around the map, I think. It's supposed to spawn in random spots, but I think because we have an increased cooldown, it's messing it up. Have heavy spawn timer on screen and spawn randomly so a team doesn't camp it. I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I think the way that heavy currently, like the way it's communicated to players is fine. If you get a tie game, you upset Shaq since the most satisfying, yeah. Yeah, try a different map. I know for sure this map does it. I'm wondering if it's because we have a quicker spawn if it's messing it up. So let's just check. If this doesn't end up working, then I'll just walk over to it manually because I know where they spawn at. Let's see. Survey says. Yeah, okay. So I think it's bugged. But anyway, it'll spawn there. It can also spawn here. Right here. It can also spawn. Does this have... Oh, my Eager Edge is working again. Oh, thank God. It can also spawn here. And it can also spawn here. Right? So it can wait to where the players are, right? There are already waits for this. You know what I'm saying? There are already waits for this. So if this side of the map is losing, a lot of Bungie's map designs are 3-lane maps, right? This one is a little bit more so, but this is lane 1. This is lane 2. This is lane 3. 3-lane map designs. Very, very common. Very, very common. Right? These break out into more, so there's like the one here, the one here, the one there, whatever, right? But the main points of interest, the main hot zones, are those 3 zones, right? Regardless, you'll be able to tell where a team generally is. The maps aren't rarely ever going to be in such a way where I'm spawning back here and the enemy is spawning over there. It just doesn't happen, right? These maps are typically rectangular in shape, which means that it's very easy to be able to tell this side is our spawn, that side is their spawn. Spawn the heavy somewhere over there. See what I'm saying? So let me head back to orbit here. All right, regardless, reward the losing team a little bit, or rather, not even reward them. Make it to, might be the wrong way to word it. Make it to where it doesn't feel quite so bad to be losing in a lopsided match. See what I'm saying? Here, let me reopen my door here 1 sec. Alright, but the heavy ammo gives an objective. You have to get control of heavy to obtain momentum, keep the other team from getting it. At least a few modes should have heavy. I'm not saying get rid of heavy. I'm just saying the losing team should basically have priority in being able to pull it. Right? That way that they're and only when they're losing by a relatively wide margin. Right? Not if they're kind of losing, not if it's kind of close. No, I mean, like, they're getting their ass kicked. Spawn the heavy closer to them. Spawn the heavy closer to them. The winning team, let's say it's Clash, the winning team is already trying to push their zone anyway, and they're even more encouraged to do so. They're even more encouraged to dive further into their backline if the enemy team is spawning the heavy over there. You see what I'm saying? I think the answer to the discussion in the title is that it can't be fixed, it's cooked. No, I disagree. All right, secondly, give more players more super energy for dying. Not as much as a kill, but more. That way, if you're losing, the supers are still close. Somewhat close. Right now, if you're getting your ass absolutely destroyed, you'll be a good 30 to 25% away from super, from the enemy team. They're going to get their supers up far more quickly, and that's fine. That's fine, but it shouldn't be so much so that if you're losing by an extremely wide margin, the enemy team is going to get so many more supers than you that it's GG. It's over. Just give them a little bit more super energy. That way, if you're losing by massively, it's not that big of a deal. In fact, you could even make it a system if you want to pull it away from supers. You can even make it a system potentially where, let's say, grenades, melees, class abilities, and such will recharge slightly faster if you die. Or maybe continue to recharge even when you're dead, as somebody suggested. I saw the super chat here. By the way, thank you everybody for the super chats today. Appreciate that. I want to let the bot read that out. But no matter how much PvP I play, I don't get any better. Even if I were to play hours on end. And all that special weapons insta-kill that people use primaries just kills for my drive for PvP. We're going to talk about special weapons too. All this stuff we're going to talk about. What if you make supers a pickup similar to heavy but make it spawn less? No, I don't think that's a great way to do it. I think keep this energy as is. Overwatch is the definition of ability spam. Go play that if that's your taste. It's a completely different game in terms of how they handle abilities and such. You know what I mean? Like the way that Bungie handles it, the way that this is set up is it's more of like a build that you make it around. Whereas like with the reason why it works in Overwatch is that it is set to that character, right? And that it becomes less of an ability in the way that we think about it and more of just a weapon, a part of the toolkit. You know what I'm saying? It's a rich get richer situation. Yes. All right. So just a thought. Let's move on. Let's talk about modes that fall flat. Let's talk about some modes that fall flat. There are a lot of modes within Destiny 2. Let me see here. Game type. Here we go. So we have all these modes here.
PvP because I like smart ability-centric combat a la Overwatch, aka not just spamming all your abilities, but actually using them purposefully.
Sure.
And it seems like the majority of streamers want the game to be Call of Duty.
I think it's an overreaction to the problem, right? So what streamers are saying when they like hardware PvP, basically what they're saying, right? Let me go up here. They should have it in here, right? They do not. Great. When they're saying they want hardware PvP, what they're saying is that abilities operate, they occupy too much of the space where players are trying to play, right? It becomes so much about, like, abilities are so strong, they do so much that gunplay is diminished. See what I'm saying? In Overwatch, it's obviously meant to be expected as such. Right, it's meant to be expected that you're using abilities and and so on and so forth. But the way that Overwatch does abilities is that they're more, like you said, they're more purposeful. They're more constrained to a specific thing, and they generally will make up the whole, like, they'll make up the characters, part of the character's kit, where it becomes more of a skill check. Whereas the problem with abilities in PvP is that there aren't a skill check. I can throw a grenade in, and it is almost guaranteed to get at least some reward. Whereas if I were to waste an ability in Overwatch, it hurts. Because I don't have that for a future fight. Hardware Supremacy is my favorite mode. It's also a very fun mode. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Right? Let's talk about some of these modes. A lot of these modes I feel fall flat. So we have Clash, which is just TDM. That's a classic. That's good. We have King of the Hill. We have Control, which is, capture the flag, or not even capture the flag. It's just, it's domination. Cool. That's a classic. We have all of these right here are all variations of the same mode, right? We have TDM, We have TDM in a particular area. We have TDM with extra steps. And then we start to get to the more creative ones. Countdown. I really like Countdown. And I think Countdown should be more prominent. Not just because I like it, because I feel like this is a far different way to engage with the game. Right? The way, yeah, search and destroy. The way Countdown operates makes you engage with the game significantly different. I personally don't like that competitive has become basically quick play, but smaller. I think Countdown was really good. Elimination. This is Trials of Osiris, right? I think, again, this is a really solid mode. The way that you engage with it is a little bit different. I have some problems with this mode because I feel like you spend too much time not playing the video game. You spend a lot of time like looking at screens or running back or whatever, right? But, you know, good. Rift. Again, I know a lot of players hate this mode, but I feel like this is a really solid mode. Frankly, I think they should just bring back Destiny 1 Rift. I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel and make Destiny 2 Rift different. I think Destiny 1's Rift was simple. Rumble, TDM, but everyone's an enemy. Showdown. This is just, again, like TDM, but you can revive. This does very little to change how the game actually ends up playing. Supremacy. We're actually getting to slightly different modes here, but people don't like playing this mode. Right? Because it's, what is this? Kill confirmed, right? This is kill confirmed. Right? Again, this is more or less the same thing. And the problem with Supremacy is that you get so much super energy for picking up crests. It's ridiculous. I think if you got 0 energy on kills and had to go pick up the crest, it'd be a different story. Showdown sucks so much ass. It's just TDM. You know what I mean? Like, it's just TDM. Survival, okay. Again, this is mostly just TDM, but you're playing your life matters more. Zone control. This is just control. Really, that most people are just going to play this like it's control. Relic. I like that they've included Relic. I think that this is a cool mode. It's a good party mode. Do I want to play this on the regular? No, absolutely not. But from time to time, maybe. Problem is, I have 0 incentive to play this mode. Right? And then we get some of the modifiers. So checkmate, so kills happen a little bit faster, or slower actually. Momentum, things happen a little bit faster. Team Scorched, which is more of like a party mode. Mayhem, again, kind of a party mode. Interruption. Like, I think all of these are much better ways of changing how the sandbox ends up operating and feeling a little bit different and making modes that matter a little bit more, personally. But I still think that there's more that we could be done here. Like, the amount of these modes that are just like TDM with extra steps, like realistically how you engage with Clash, Control, Collision, not necessarily Elimination, Rumble, Showdown, Supremacy, Survival, like all the way that you engage with these is just Slayer, right? Team Slayer, TDM, all in the same kind of state, right? They don't really require you to change things up very much. And that can be okay, but it ends up making that a good portion of Destiny's modes are very samey. And then you've got like, you know, like, you get what I'm saying, right? I absolutely hate elimination game modes. I don't want to rely on my teammates to win the game, especially since solo queue exists. This makes trials completely unbearable for me. Interesting. Game modes need to be simplified. They need to be remove Gambit and insert a large-scale PvP mode. I would love a large-scale PvP mode. Rumble is peak D2 PvP. Yep, I like Rumble. I think Rumble's good. I don't think it's peak, but I think it's pretty darn good. I think in a game where death is so cheesy and unpredictable, one life modes are a poor fit. I kind of agree. I kind of see where you're coming from. I kind of agree. What do you guys feel about that assessment? That assessment that basically 80% of the modes here are just TDM. What about a bi-weekly rotation for trials from elimination to survival? I think trials is kind of like notorious for elimination as its thing, you know? I disagree personally. It's how the community plays them. Like, you can say like, well, it's how the players interact with them, but like, that's not a fault of the players, that's a fault of the mode. You know? Like, if the mode isn't encouraging differences in style, like, here's the thing, even if TDM is like a thing that players end up, it's just a TDM mode, make it feel different. Like, if I play most of these modes on Bannerfall, the way I'm going to engage with these modes on Bannerfall is mostly going to be the same. Mostly going to be the same. Think they need to tune ability spamming PvP. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Also agree if players had a limit of 2 deaths instead of 6 shared lives. Interesting. Control needs to play like domination. Kills don't count for any scores. Just controlling flags counts. Well, I mean, that's just zone control. That's just zone control, right? Map rotation is the main problem. Same maps over and over and over again. Gets to stale fast. Yes, we're going to talk about maps. We're going to talk about maps. A lot of the stuff you guys are bringing up, we're going to chat about. Right? So, let me propose a couple other ideas for other modes. I'm going to change the map because I'm tired of looking at this map. Cirrus Plaza looks good. Let's look at Cirrus Plaza. I'm going to propose a couple different mode ideas. First of all, things like hardware as a mode. We actually have hardware currently in a rotation right now. Can I access it from here? No, I have to back out. That's unfortunate. Oh. Oh, thank you for the memberships. Whoa, that's a lot of memberships. What the hell? Oh, a private pounder gifted 20 channel members. Damn. All right, everyone. Salute for the eagle. Salute for the Eagles. We're going to be here for a second. Also, you've ended up getting a channel member from Private Pounder. Give him a thank you. Thank you, Private. Much appreciated. We're going to be here for a minute, everybody. Brace for Eagles. I'm British. I shall not salute to Eagles. Pretty sure you were more or less forced to. A couple hundred years ago. Private Pounder's dropped his wallet. Yes, he did. You don't win unless your team wins Halo the Fall of Reach. Alright, I think the Eagles have cleared. Alright. Gambit on paper should be the best mode. I agree. I agree. Anyway, we have hardware. Hardware is a good mode. That requires players to interact with the game on a different level. It changes up the game to the point where it feels like, you know, like if this were a food, it doesn't just taste different, the texture is different too. See what I'm saying? Like, the way that you interact with the mode feels different from the top down. It's not just, I'm playing Slayer, I'm playing TDM, but there's a flag I occasionally step on, right? The whole mode feels different, right? Your builds shift subtly to adjust to hardware, right? No downtime in Rift. Have to be tracking the spark at all times. What are people talking about? Combined arms in D1, yeah, we're gonna suggest combined arms, yeah. Okay? Like, this is a good example. Relic, also, similarly, a mode that does a good job. I don't want to look at this map. Give me Cirrus again. Relic does a good job of making the game mode feel different. Right? Like, the game feels much different. Am I the biggest fan of Relic? No. But I think that, like, this is the right step. Let me throw out some suggestions here. Okay? Let me actually load into this map here. Just Clash, whatever. Sure, whatever. Let me throw out a suggestion here. I wanna show you something here. I'm gonna show you something here. I don't think I've ever played Relic since my point earlier. The rotations need to go. Yeah, I agree with that. We're gonna chat about that. We're gonna chat about that. Is everyone still with me so far? Is everyone still tracking so far? Do I have anybody in the chat that's like, everything or most of what you said so far, or I have a particular issue with something you said, I want to chat about stuff. Flash. Suggestions and such, right? Because my point here is to try to make the overall the player base happy, not just myself. What are we talking about? How to make PvP better. See, I've agreed so far about 50% what you said so far. What do you disagree with? I'm curious. Hit me. Let me know, Existence. What have you disagreed with? That's what I want to chat about. Gambit could be awesome though. Invading costs something and do. Yeah, we've done a whole video about Gambit. Yeah, I feel like Gambit should have been a lot better because Gambit was extremely fun when both teams were trying. That was really fun. Well, 66 emotes into one node. It rotates every game. I've got a better idea. PvP, PvE, planet, exfil, loot, but core losses when you die. Yeah, that's talked about that. We're lost in the sauce. But talk, okay. What's the point? The game will die soon. It doesn't have to, though. And even if it does, it doesn't mean that we can't go out with the bang. Guys, look at TF2. Team Fortress 2 has survived decades. Decades! Because they're almost exclusively PvP. All right? They're clearly doing something right. Okay, let me tell you about a game mode idea I have. This one will be called Extinction. So it's normal Clash, but there's a twist. You know those big ol' FL-sized walls that appear in certain strikes for Vex? Right? And they just kill you instantly? What if it was something like that, where like part of the map would get closed off for a segment? It would slowly close in. It would slowly close in. And there was a zone that you had to control in order to keep your respawns up. So let's say that this side of the map here, this wall would appear over there and slowly start to encroach this direction. Slowly begin to encroach. Not as fast as I'm walking. I'm talking hella slowly. Fortnite or any sort of ward or whatchamacallit mode. Fucking yeah, like the storm. What's the name of it? Battle Royale. Right? But it slowly begins to encroach on the zone. Right? The players that have control of the zone have respawns. They can continue to respawn. The players that do not, well, they don't. Right? So let's say that the zone spawns, let's say here-ish. Right? So the wall will stop. The wall will stop on this side. Right here. Once all of the enemy team is eliminated, the one team gets a point. So basically the maps start out bigger and then slowly get smaller and smaller over time until it's an actual brawl over this point. Right? So you're encouraged to potentially save your more powerful abilities for that specific zone as it comes up. Right? As an idea. As an idea. I think that is a way to, one of the ways, we're going to talk about more, one of the ways that you could make a mode that will feel significantly different than just Slayer. Right? Because now your map is getting smaller and you're having to approach a little bit more aggressively. Need bigger map suggestions, use patrol maps. Yep, that's going to be one of the things we actually suggest here. Shadow Keep, everyone was home because of the pandemic, so that probably pumped up numbers during the second season. It's true. Probably true. Yeah. Right? This also prevents farm or spawn camping, right? Because that would be a thing on a smaller map. Because as soon as the enemies are dead, then it's just, you know, that's it. That's GG. Cool. All right, let me suggest another one. We've talked about this one before, and I feel like this would be a better just rotating game mode than just normal Clash. We call it Attrition. It's basically survival with a shit ton of lives in 2 rounds. 20 lives on either team in 2 rounds. Even though this is mostly just Slayer, the way that the players will actually end up interacting with it is a little bit different. So let me actually set this up here. Ooh. I hate that it kicks me out like that. So survival, rounds to win, give it 5 minutes, rounds to win 2, respawn time, whatever. Everything else is the same. Team lives, go to 20. This is just Slayer, but it does make it feel a little bit different because as you will be playing PDM for the majority of the match, and then as the lives get closer, you open up those hero moments. Like when you're the last person standing, you open up those hero moments where it's like, it's me versus 6 of the other guys. I have super, right? It's 1-1. Whoever ends up winning this next game ends up winning the whole thing. I think I got a shot at this. Okay? Next idea. Payload is a map that a mode that we suggested. It's Rift, but the difference here is that whoever picks up the Rift, whoever picks up the Spark, I should say, is slowed and given massive damage resistance. So think like a stasis slow where you can barely jump and you can only walk, right? And walk slowly. And that's how you get from one side of the map to the other. So you have to escort the teammate who ended up picking it up from one side of the map to the other. This also will disable abilities. So it's sort of like a suppression type effect, right? So no Icarus dashing, no dodging or anything like that, right? That way you're forced to just basically walk. You can still shoot and you're a tank. You are unbelievably hard to kill. Like to the point where a sniper headshot won't even completely kill you to bring you down to half health. So it takes a significant effort to put you down, right? That will feel a lot different than normal Slayer, right? 3 of those and you win. And the spark, wherever it's dropped, wherever the spark is dropped, it just stays there. It doesn't go back to center, right? Regeneration, just normal regeneration. More similar to Headquarters meets the Slayer. Fantasy is player's objective incentive. Has hero moments. Headquarters in terms of like, remind me Headquarters rules. It's been a while. They can make large maps of the pyramid. Loadout, payload from the Wellspring for payload-based game modes. That would be cool too. I feel like this is an easier way to do it, right? Because all you need to do to the player is just apply a set of buffs and debuffs in order to make that happen, and then just normal Rift. Literally, it's just normal Rift, but the player who picks up the thing has a bunch of different, like a cocktail of buffs and debuffs in order to make it happen, right? You can even make it like 1st to 2 or something like that, right? But that'll feel a lot different, because then it's like, hey, guys, let me be Spark guy. Let me be the guy who picks up Spark. I have sweet business. You know, like that extra bit of health will do wonders for me. You know, I'm a Titan with like a whole bunch of resistances, and I have sweet business. I am great at shutting down zones. You know, that would feel really cool, I feel like. All right. Another thing, talking about similar ideas to what we've got with Relic, which is more of a party game mode. Can we have Infected? Call it like, I don't know, Taken or something like that, where you've got 2 teams. You got a team of survivors. You got a team of Taken. Let's say 1 Taken and 6 survivors. As the Taken get kills, they switch teams, right? So if you kill a surviving player, they switch to the Taken team. Taken players only have a, like how Scorched works. I want to change the map because it's looking a little bit weird. Let's see. Eventide Labs. I like the look of Eventide Labs. Like how Scorched works, you basically always spawn in with this thing, right? You can't switch off of it. You can't do anything with it. It's just literally this thing, right? But just Infected. Just like it was from Call of Duty, just like it was from Halo. Fun party game mode. Yeah? Thoughts? Comments? Hunter community will blow up from Bungie forums. The nerf Titans even more from the payload idea. Taking game would be fire. I'd actually be so much fun, right? Like I'd be totally on board with like an Infected style game mode. Happens when you run out of ammo on a sword. Run out of ammo on a sword? I'm not sure what you're suggesting there, dude. It's a sword. What about Juggernaut or something? That's kind of what we're suggesting with the payload game mode, right? Titan was OP last I played. They need nerfs. You are smoking something crazy, Venus. On the Scorch Cannon. Well, I'm not saying you'd use the Scorch Cannon specifically. I'm saying you would use a sword. You can even start the initial Infected with a Scorch Cannon. Or something along those lines. Or give them like the ability to do like the ranged attack so that it's a little easier for them to get the kills. Yeah, Infected would be a great change of pace. Exactly. What we need, what type of modes we need are change of pace game modes. Not Slayer plus. Right? We need change of pace game modes. Prop Hunt. Prop Hunt would be cool, but it'd be far too difficult to program. Far too difficult to program. Okay? Moving on. Can I have a 1v1 game mode? Can I have a mode where I queue up and it's just 1v1? Like Clash 1v1? Like make it on the smaller maps or whatever, right? Let's see here. Where's... Not Dead Cliffs. Dead Cliffs could work, though. Endless Vale, yeah. Make it tiny maps, 1v1. 1v1 me, bro. Sword fight game mode, that'd also be kind of cool. One of these who rely on abilities. They feel too frequent and there's no penalty for it. Infected is a good game mode. Yes, agree. I thought you were going to quit Destiny after the last video. Let's go. No, I wasn't quitting Destiny. Destiny was quitting me. I'm going to be here for as long as I can. Destiny's quitting me. Destiny's quitting us. 1v1 game will just cause an influx of toxic messages. That's the place to do it. That's literally the place to do it. Like if you want to shit talk the other opponent, that is the place to do it. And if you don't like that, get out. Guess what's going to happen if you introduce a 1v1 game mode, right? Guess what's going to happen? All of like your super duper ultra sweats that have an ego are going to go play that mode. They're going to be like, I am the best 1v1er, right? You're going to get more players out of the casual lobby and into that mode. That's what's going to happen. I would love that mode. Like somebody who already has an ego problem, I would love a 1v1 mode. That'd be so hype. King of the Hill Rumble, where there's a Crux of Darkness to pick up while holding it. The players are given a Strand of Stasis and Infinite Roaming Super. The other players have to team up to take out the Crux. That's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, I like the idea of like a lopsided team thing. You could call it like Lightless or something, where it's like a 1v6, but one person has a super constantly. Or like they have like mayhem modifiers or whatever, right? That'd be fun. I'd be totally on board with that. My latest PvP related in-game message. If you want to fight me in PvP, we're doing this in Titanfall 2 on my turf. That's great. Yeah, I like, just curious, a show of hands, who would play the 1v1 game mode? Let's say if this was a permanent thing that you could play, who would play that more than like Control or 3v3s? And like, here's the thing with like a 1v1 thing, it would be so fucking easy to implement. It'd be so easy to implement. You literally just reduce team sizes and just queue it like normal. That's all it would be. It would be so stupidly easy to implement. I will for warm-up. Sure, yeah. I know there's a bit of delay in the chats. I think YouTube has a longer delay, and there's more YouTube viewers. 1v1 for warm-up, amazing. Sure, yeah. 1v1 is skill-based matchmaking or connection-based? Skill-based. Maybe random mutations when you become infected that gives you different stats and weapons. Like a tanky person with the sword, a fragile class with the Vex. I think that'd be a little much and hard to program. 1v1 would be so popular, right? That's what I'm saying, dude. 1v1 would be so freaking popular. It'd be so freaking popular. It'd be the easiest mode they ever added to the game. Giving the YouTube chat a chance to catch up, because I've seen basically one person mention it, which means that there's a bit of a latency. Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be an extremely popular mode. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. Somebody mentioned the 3v1 or like the 6v1. I also think that's a really cool idea, where like one person has like super constantly, or they have mayhem modifiers or something, while it's everyone else versus them. If you want to do a comp game mode, if you can take it, ditch your team and climb by yourself, that'd also be cool. I'd like to see it as an option for that. Sure, make it like a separate mode or separate modifier you can select when you're selecting comp. We're gonna talk about that. Juggernaut like Halo 2, sure. Next up, gun game. We have so many guns in Destiny, so many freaking guns in Destiny. If we were able to do this just off of blue weapons, like we wouldn't even need to do like exotics or whatever, but if they were just random blue weapons, like every single kill whatever gave you a different random blue weapon, everyone got the same ones, right? But it was like a list of 20. Exotic gun game would be funny. I would like an exotic game mode. Yeah, a gun game would be cool too, sure. This would be harder to program, because I think Bungie doesn't have the tools necessary to restrict players' loadouts. This would be harder to program. But about bigger team on a larger maps, we're going to talk about that. We're getting there. Just want to mention gun game, bruh. Yeah, this I think would be really, really fun. This would be really, really fun. Can Bungie do it? Probably not likely. Probably not likely. Let me throw another one at you. You can call the game mode Wildcard. Let me get a different map here. I'm tired of looking at that map. Midtown. I like Midtown. Call this game mode Wildcard. The way that it works is that you'll have a selected verb, a selected buff from your a particular subclass verb, right? So like 30 seconds of Devour, 30 seconds of Void Overshield, 30 seconds of Radiant. That would cycle out every 30 seconds, right? So you have moments of time, and it's just like Slayer. It's just whatever, right? We'd have moments of time where it's like, dude, I have Radiant, everything is killing in 3 hits. Man, I have Devour, I'm killing everything faster. It just cycles out. Everybody has it. Everybody has it. We have the ability to do stuff like this. We have the ability to randomly apply buffs to everyone in the team. This is my first time on your Twitch. I needed to say hi. Hello. Sparrow Racing back? Yeah, that's a big ask for Bungie, though. That's a big ask. Me when I get Speed Booster. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're playing a game, it's like, you know, Shaxx announces, like, you know, next wild card incoming. Right? You wait for a second. It's 5 seconds left. 4, 3. You're on something silly like Invis or something. 2, 1. You have Speed Booster. Now everyone on the map is running around like a crazy crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Actually, didn't they do restricted loadouts and prestige modes of raids? For example, you needed a sniper, sidearm, grenade launcher to enter. Yeah, they did, but they weren't able to control it on the fly. Right? They could restrict the what weapons you took in, but they couldn't change it on the fly. Permanent invis would be pain. It'd be only for 30 seconds though. You'd have it for 30 seconds and then it'd be out. But it'd be cool. I think it'd be really cool. Shax's voice was interesting. I'm not just claiming I got a good Shax's voice. All right, and the last one. Something that people were already talking about. We have these big old freaking maps. Like, even if we were to cut off certain points on certain areas, we have massive freaking patrol maps. Why don't we make these a map within the game? Or even ignoring that. That's more Saladin than Shaxx, sure. Right? Even ignoring that. Let's see. Where is... It's on Cosmodrome, right? Let's see. Not Grasp. Where the hell is the Warlord's Ruin? It's EDZ? Where's Warlord's Ruin? I always forget. I don't launch this myself. Is it here? Yeah. Like, imagine, like, the final boss area of Warlord's Ruin, right? But it's a PvP map. Like, a big, F-all-sized PvP map. And you could do things like, it would be like the old big map mode of old. What would that called? What was that? What was that big mode? What was that big mode from D1? I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Somebody help me out. From D1, big mode. Big maps. What if we got public events? It's a small Crucible match in Patrol. Sure. That'd be cool. Anyway. Oh, shoot. Combined arms. Combined arms. Got it. Combined arms. Just take a patrol zone, put a little bubble around it, and then just make it combined arms. You could even make it 12v12. You know how we know we can support 12v12 now? Because we have Excision. Where is it? Excision. We know we can support 12 players. Maybe we could support 24. Probably. Yeah, combined arms. Select one of these patrol-based areas. Allow sparrows to be summoned. Randomly spawn in certain locations for, you know, the pikes and the tanks and such. And just let players go wild. Big areas. Big maps. Excision kind of barely supports 12. Alright, then 6v6. Regardless, 6v6. Right? Big map, 6v6. Bungie did say, though, that to support that, a lot had to be disabled at the same time, so it might be harder to do in practice. What are you referring to? Anyhow, combined arms. Bring it back. Those are some suggestions for modes. Let's move on to some other conversations. You are unable to reliably pick modes or maps that you want. For example, what about 8v8? That might be a little, yeah, if they can't do 12-man Excision, as somebody is saying, which is a fair point, then they might not be even able to do 8v8. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Having all 12 players in existence to like a 12v12 would be hard, right? Would look like LOL from a bird's eye view. And the rotation, both PvP and PvE problem. No, we will leave if it's random mods. Map voting system. Yep. One of the reasons players leave is when I load into control, I have no control over what map I'm going to. Moreover, I don't know what map I'm even being launched into. I don't even know. If Bungie told me the map that I was going to load into with the little slide up on here, right? Like if there's a little pop-up right here that said you're loading into this map, I could at the very least know how to change my loadout. Or if the match hasn't started yet and I see this map, I can go, I don't want to play this. I'm going to bail. I want a different map. This is not what I'm coming here for. That way no players are impacted when we actually load in, because players can see if they're going to load into a map that they don't want to play. And that's data for Bungie. If they see players are leaving on a particular map, they can be like, oh, players don't like this map. That's better data for us. They're leaving before the match has even started. We've removed the variable of the players, like how they're playing the game. It's the map itself that players are leaving on. Yeah, at the very bare minimum, a preview. At the best, a voting system. You'll just end up playing Jav 4 24/7, which is why you give them 3 options. Just borrow a page from COD. You give them 3 options. You give them the new map, the previous map, and a random map, right? So they can progress to the next map. They can do the last map that they did again, or they can just throw it to the wilds, right? So if players are wanting to vote exclusively for Jav, you'd at the worst play Jav twice, and then it would be disabled. Black Ops 2 did this, and it worked great, right? So then you're basically given the choice after Jav is played twice. Do I want to go to this map, or would I rather just open it up to random? If I really dislike these 2 maps, I'd rather vote random. They just dipped after 2 games. The likelihood of them getting Jav every single time they queue up is minimal. It's not going to happen. Again, counterpoint, COD did it. It's not a problem. Counter-Strike does this, and it's awesome. 3 to 4 maps per pool on rotation. If you get 90% vote on the map, you can skip a map. Sure. Just any sort of voting system. Any sort of voting system. And like I said, at the very bare minimum, let me know what map I'm loading into before it launches. That way, if I'm playing a close range build and I want to test it out, and I see I'm getting a long range map that I don't want to play, I can bail out before the game starts. It's also so hype in a map you want it to pop up. Yep. Rocket League lets you pick what maps you prefer. Sure. Black Ops 2 is at least 5 good maps, so people didn't mind it. But D2 doesn't have that kind of map love. Hard disagree. Hard disagree. I'm a little bit more forgiving when it comes to maps. But like, C tier map. F tier map. B tier, C tier. B tier map. C tier map. C tier map. I consider this a B tier map. That's fine. B tier map, honestly, A tier map. C tier map. C tier map, sure. F tier map. B tier map, in my opinion. B tier map. B tier map. B tier map. B tier map. C tier map. B tier map. B tier map. A tier map. Right. Even if only a handful of them, a good portion of these are still totally serviceable maps, like B's and C's, right? There's very few maps that I feel like are just like bad. They exist, absolutely, but I don't think that they're as problematic. Again, I'm a little bit more forgiving though. So this is good. What are the odds a player has only ever queued into Jav? Exactly. It's just not gonna happen. It's a non-issue. You group the sweaty maps in one and the casuals in another. That's exactly what the game mode does, by the way. I'm chilling with homies. Delta group is meta. I see. Talking about lobby balancing. Okay, sure. So anyway, that's step number 1. Either I'll, at bare minimum, show us what map I'm going to load into before I load into it. Better, Let me vote on what maps I'm actually going to play. That way I actually have some volition over what it is I'm choosing. Okay? Next up, let's borrow a page from, well, I first saw it in Titanfall. Right now, these are the modes that you can play. This is it. You have Clash with extra steps. You have a party mode, which is cool. And you have Rumble. All permanent offerings, and frankly, bloated. And then, of course, you have Trials, right? You've got the competitive modes here, which, frankly, these two are pretty close to one another. I think that it should be 3. You should have Casual, Competitive, Trials, or whatever's rotating that week. Now, here's how this would work. When you selected Control, as opposed to saying Launch, there would be a button right here that would say Configure. Right? Because, like, I'm pretty sure right now if I go here, no, maybe not. Certain modes will allow you to do this, where if it's like, let's say if it's Sparrow Control, they'll allow you to select it and then choose between Sparrow Control and Normal Control. Right? Pop up an option like this that comes here and gives you the choice to select what modes you want to play. So you can say, I like Clash, I'm fine with Collision, I'm fine with Control, I'm fine with blah, 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 blah. You can throw in some of the party modes in here too. I like Relic. Blah, 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 right? I can choose what modes I want to queue for. So if I only want to queue for a particular mode, I understand that my queue times might be long, right? If I queue for Zone Control or something like that, and I know it's not a popular mode, I understand that I'm queuing for less options and it might be a long queue time, right? And then you can put a little icon over here that shows you what the rotated mode is. You can even put special modes and float them towards the top of the list, right up at the top, where it's like a special unique thing that they're doing for the week, where you get like bonus rewards or whatever for playing it. Those can be your more experimental modes. As a developer, hearing just add a button is pain. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Like, again, I actually have a degree in computer science. I actually focused in on game development, right? So I understand. But my point is, add a button. Make it an option, right? Other games do this and it works great. Custom playlist. Yeah, so maybe you don't like Rift. Maybe you're okay with Rumble every now and then, right? It'll allow you to queue for all of them, all at the same time. Whenever one you find the quickest, that's what it'll give you. Other games can do this. Bungie has the budget. Pete Parsons to spend $2 million on cars. He can spend $1 million of that on allowing us to pick what modes we have. TT has a CS degree. That's cool. Yep. I've never used it. I got it, and then I immediately went into YouTube. I worked at Apple for a little bit, and then that was it. Anyway, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Then I can choose what mode I end up actually getting into. So it's more fun. Cool? How do we like this? Thoughts? Like a filter, exactly. To be fair, they also focus more on PvP as a concept. Yep. Because, like, realistically, most players are going to just queue for these two, right? It's the queue times will be barely unnoticeable. But let's say if you got a mode you want to see every now and then, yeah, just leave it in there. Like, maybe you want to play Rift every now and then. Yeah, leave it queued. Leave it queued. Leave that selected. Maybe, like, every 10 games or so you get a Rift match. You're like, oh, hey, Rift. Okay, cool. They have the budget, but the CFO has no interest in putting money towards PvP. So what can make them more money towards PvP? I mean, hell, I'd be alright if they basically required you to have the most recent, whatchamacallit, the most recent expansion or whatever for the competitive playlist. That way it's a barrier for cheaters, but I know that's kind of a problem. Frankly, I think that if you build it, they will come. Players will spend money on their game if they like your game. I don't think you need to incentivize PvP for monetization reasons at all. I feel like this is your monetization reason. People will come here and they will spend more money on your game if they like your game. Oh, hey, free item. Grab this. Right? If I come here and I'm like, hey, there's an ornament or whatever that shows up, a weapon ornament that I really like for this weapon I really like to use. I play PvP a lot. It's my favorite PvP weapon. Problem solved. Anyway. But yeah, make it a filter. We cool with that? Alright, let's move on. Special ammo. Let's talk about special ammo. Let me change the map here. What map do I want to look at? Vostok. Special ammo. These are the 3 ways that we've tried experimenting with special ammo. I believe there should be a 4th. Respawn with special ammo had its problems, and yeah, this was a very low budget system to actually make the thing work. I don't think it was the solution. I'm glad they moved away from this. I think special ammo crates, the way that it is right now, this is the current system, is far better. It's like the strengths of this with less of the weaknesses. Meter, I still believe to be the better system overall, but I think it was handled poorly. But I would like to propose another idea, because the problem people have is that specials like everywhere, right? It's too dominant. Everyone's using specials. They make up too much of a percentage of the kills. Yeah? I'd like to propose another option, another idea. Forge mode to save the game, yeah, it'd be nice, but that's a big ask. Like, Des needs to understand that a healthy PvP system is what keeps the game alive. People get tired of strikes, raids, etc. After the 100th time of doing it. Yep, I agree. I feel like PvP's infinite replayability is what keeps the game alive far after the game has been quote-unquote dead. I agree, but they're too busy with Marathon right now. Dude, Marathon's gonna flop. Marathon's gonna flop. Like, we can all see the writing on the wall. Marathon's gonna fucking flop, dude. I don't want it to, but like everything I have heard coming out about Marathon has all been negative. Anyway, let's focus here for a second. Meteor's by far the best system. If Meteor was tweaked to behave differently for weapon types, the game mode would be people would be far more happy about it. Agreed. I have another idea though. Ding. Oh, I have dings enabled apparently. Only system which you can actually use primary. Agreed. I liked the meter system. Here's an idea. As something for them to experiment with. Okay? Not as like a permanent thing, but maybe for something for them to try. Start players off with basically almost the reserves full of special ammo. Like 6 to 8 rounds of shotgun. 6 to 8 rounds of sniper ammo. 300 rounds of trace rifle. 6 to 8 rounds of fusion rifle. Okay? But it never refills. What you have is what you get. So, if you want to run into the center of the enemy team and do a shit ton of shotgun stuff and then just waste all your ammo, go for it. Now, enable not swap. So, swapping off of ammo types removes your ability and your super. So if you want to run into the middle of a bunch of enemies and shotgun them because you have advantage, right? And then swap off to a sidearm because you want to have an option for that, sure. But you're not going to get super that game. I bet people will use all their special and then leave. They're going to, based off the other things that we've suggested so far, that would be less of a problem. And I doubt that'd be the case. And you know what this would also do? This would also, if you're joining mid-match, you'd have more special midway through the game. So you actually feel like you have a chance. It's actually a realistic prediction. Yeah. Because then at that point, it's like, why play the game if you're just trying to play with special? You know what I mean? Like, if you're just there to shoot special ammo, then you're not really playing PvP. And again, if we have the other things where we discourage leaving, like we've talked about at the top of the stream, that wouldn't be a problem. What about double special? Then it would be 4 and 4. So let's say that a shotgun gets 8, you would get 4 and 4. So a double special wouldn't really work. So, yes, it would work for 4 kills on either weapons, right? Because special ammo use is very situational, and sometimes you have to use a primary special depending on what you're playing with and against. Right. But the point is that this sets an exact amount of the amount of special that you want to see. Maybe we could look at the exact numbers and be like, how much do we want to see special in the game? believe even with special. Yeah, exactly. Regardless of having special, I think it would be. Yeah, I personally think meter is the best. I think meter is the best system overall. But what if that is an option? Because the problem right now is that shotguns are over dominant. They're too dominant. They make up like almost more than half of the amount of kills for special. Right? If you had the option as a sniper, because like the problem with like the system right now, is like if you're a sniper, you're encouraged to play defensively. You're encouraged to play in the far back corners of the map and find angles on people, right? However, you have a hard time getting ammo, right? Because if you're getting sniper kills, you're probably at a distance to where your special ammo probably isn't spawning near you, so you have to leave your position in order to go get it. If you're getting primary kills, you have to get closer to targets in order to get your ammo. You're spawning with one, sure, that gives you one, but then there's like shotguns and fusions, which are completely designed around dominating space. So they're able to control special boxes. They're more likely to be okay with picking up a brick off the ground, and so on and so forth. Letting special weapons drop special ammo is just steamroll machine. Yeah, no, that's not what we're saying. Forcing people to use primaries is good for the game. Yeah, that's not what we're saying here. Yeah, 60% is something crazy like that. All that's going to happen is everyone is going to use their special in the beginning of the match to counter other specials. Sure, let them. That's the point. That's the point. If you're engaging with specials, just like everybody else, if you're burning through all your special ammo, when the match starts to get late, you know, it's getting to its older years, you're 6 minutes into the game, you're going, shit, I really wish I had some special right now. So you're encouraged to wait a little bit and to be smart about how you're using special ammo rather than just dumping it all at once. So the players who are using primary ammo have special for their entire game. Snipers are incredibly hard to use right now, and getting the only one shot makes them even worse. They're dominating because maps are mostly short range. Agreed, but the special ammo system is not helping. See what I'm saying? So snipers can sit there and hold on to their special ammo. If they want to just sit there and whiff a bunch of rounds or fire a bunch of rounds out at the start of the match, they can do that, but they're not going to have it midway through the match. So that problematic sniper, you only have to deal with like 6 to 8 times, right? Is that a lot? Sure, that's a lot. Spread out between your team is less of a problem, but you know once that's over, they're toast. You have to deal with them with their primaries, and if you're not using your special, then you've got special an advantage against them. Bring back sniper ammo generation like icebreaker, but only for snipers, just a thought. Yeah, I think that'd be too much. Hey, PvP, due to my inherent skill issues, also weapons that look cool and are fun tend to not be effective. Agreed. Sure, I'll give you that. Can't they just make people not spawn with special? And when you kill someone, they drop 1 bullet of special. That was how... well, it's kind of similar to how the meter system worked. What about a static timer that feeds ammo to everyone at the same time, even if you're dead? That's not a bad idea, actually. That's also not a terrible idea. But that does encourage players to sit in the back of the map with just snipers and just play hyper defensively. I still think that shotguns are so dominant that it wouldn't be so much of a problem. I think that would pace the match out a little bit weird. But I think if you gave everybody the same amount of special from the start of the game and then force players to use it like a resource, I think that would encourage players to be smart about it. And here's the thing, if you encounter a team that's using nothing but specials for like the first 3 minutes and you're like, man, I really wish there's primary fights, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get primary fights. They're going to be out. They have no way of getting it back. You're going to get primary fights. But yes, I agree. The meter system was also good. Just an idea. Just a thought. Something for them to experiment with. Cool? Cool. Ability spam. I think abilities are too dominant right now. Too dominant right now. And I don't think that it's a matter of them coming up too quickly. I don't think it's a matter of them being frequent. It's a matter of them being strong. Okay? Let me see what some people are talking about here. Super DR would mean to be decreased because it's usually specials that can shut them down consistently. I mean, that's fine. Like, if you're able to hold on to your special ammo into the 5-minute mark of the match, so halfway through the game, which is roughly when supers start to come up, good. Reward the player for that. Snipers are practically untunable. Bad and mid-tier players won't be able to reliably be used and won't get enough ammo to be better in the PvP context. Good players with a steady supply of ammo makes this game nearly unplayable at higher tiers. Yep. It's a matter of them being annoying as hell. Yes. Inaccessible lower levels of play, and trying to adjust that will have huge ramifications at higher levels. Yep. But that's okay. It's okay to have certain weapons that are skill checks. Mineral system hurts other specials too much. You need to give shotgun special treatment, sure. No. Ability crowd control effects need to be nerfed. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. Scatter grenades. Not the most dominant grenade right now, but a good representation of the problem. Scatter grenades are almost a kill. They do require a skill check, but it is not hard. It is not hard. I think that the current rate of cooldown for them is overall relatively fine. The problem is that scatter grenades end up being most of the required skill check needed in order to get a kill. Because it comes up, roughly speaking, every minute. Base cooldown plus whatever modifiers you have going on. This makes it to where a third of your kills could realistically be scatter grenade kills. Right? I don't think that it's a matter of scatter grenades coming up that frequently. It's more a matter of that they are not a utilitarian thing. They're just an I win button. Frankly, most of these are I win buttons, with some small exceptions. Scatter grenades can one-shot with a lot of skill and knowledge of how they work. Sure. But I feel like that's too much. I feel like if scatter grenades instead, let's say, dealt only half of the amount of health to a target, and maybe did something like apply volatile, right? To where it's not even going to give, like, it's never going to have the chance of shoring up a kill or opening up the kill initially. Sure, you could still get kills with them or whatever, right? Then this grenades and such would feel a lot better. As long as the TTK was originally, now you're dead before you even get a gunfight. TTK has always been pretty similar too. Scatter grenades should be shot out of the air like swarm grenades. I think that makes them too similar to each other. Right? I remember the days when void spikes were a thing, when void walls were a thing. Like, these were the grenades that people picked because they were the highest potential yield, and they didn't just immediately win. Right? These felt a lot easier to deal with because these actually operated more like how grenades used to in the days of old. Back in Destiny's past, these were the types of grenades that you saw more often, and they were used for a specific purpose. They were a crowd control tool. Right? The cooldowns are not the problem. It's what they do. These do too much. Whereas something like, I don't know, magnetic grenades do too little. It's a matter of how much of an effect they have. Like, for example, I think magnetic grenades are perfectly balanced. They're a skill check. They do exactly what they need to do, and they allow you to basically guarantee a kill on the follow-up. Move all grenades but flux, fusion, magnetic. No. 9. False. Extremely loud, incorrect buzzer. Make grenades do less. And the ones that are more of a skill check, the ones that are harder to use, such as these overtime grenades, leave them as is, but make the damage on something like this less. I think that Axion Bolt is a great example of a well-balanced grenade, because it will be very difficult to shore up a kill on Axion Bolt, right? You can't just outright get a kill on it. And they can be shot. They can be countered. Axion Bolts used to do a lot more back in D1, but they had a counter. You could slide into them, and it would cancel it out. You could shoot them, and it would destroy it. Snipers, as people talk about sniper resistance. Magnates have insane tracking, Lamau. Sure. I agree with you. But they have a delay, right? There's like, you have to play around these. Whereas this, it's like, splash it at their feet, they're basically dead. Saturn needs to be proper damage distribution, slightly diminishing returns on multiple hits with certain radius. Concentrated damage causes on almost one shot, right? Right. That's my point. My point here is not that abilities come up too frequently. I think that the rate at which abilities come up are fine. It's that when they do come up, they come up way too much. Like, what they do is they come up way too big, right? Like, I feel like a suppressor grenade should be like the poster child of what a grenade should do at its max and at its min. Somewhat hard to use because you have to bounce it. It has the little bit of delay. And if you land it, it could potentially shut down a super or deal an okay amount of damage. Right? You have these grenades that are focused purely on damage, and that's where it starts to be a problem. Abilities are powerful by default, either downscale damage or radius on them. Like, radius I don't think is too much of an issue. It's just damage. So much of these deal so much damage. Let me show you what I mean on, like, the worst end of things. Talking about abilities that do too much. You already know where I'm going. You already know what I'm going to talk about. Let's bring it up. I don't even think this is set up properly. Threaded Spectre does way too much. Way too freaking much. And applying a strict cooldown, like even if this had a 3-minute cooldown on it, like a Titan Barricade, right? All that does is piss off the hunters. All that does is make the hunters feel like, well, damn, why do I even run this ability? But instead, it should be more addressed from how much Threaded Spectre does, not how frequently it comes up. Thought it got a nerf? Yeah, it got a slap on the wrist. Snare Bomb as well. Yes, another great idea. Snare Bomb, I don't know why it got buffed. Frankly, I thought it was perfect. They nerfed that, though. Yeah, it didn't do enough. It didn't do jack shit. It didn't do jack shit. I think things like grapples are a great example of like an ability done right. Right? An ability done right, because it's a skill check. It has a unique thing that it does, and it's hard to secure up a kill with it. Like, it's possible, but it gives them like plenty of opportunity to shotgun you in the face or fusion rifle you or whatever, right? Like, it's a skill check. Right? And then you get to things like swarm grenades, which have obviously made a big comeback. Right? It's not how frequently swarm grenades comes up, it's how much the swarm grenades do. They do way too much damage, cause way too much burn, and they last for way too long. If the swarm grenades just lasted a long time on the battlefield and just zoned out an area and did very little damage, that'd be pretty good. If we thought of abilities as a way of basically getting like the equivalent of like one headshot from a hand cannon worth of value, rather than addressing how quickly they come up, it would be more useful. There's a reason why certain grenades, like the arc bolt grenades, you hardly ever see play with them. Like you do, but not nearly as much as the other ones. It's because they actually seem to stay within their lane. Their damage is just okay, and it doesn't do a whole lot. I remember when arc bolts were the meta. Right? The problem is when we have grenades that do way too much. It's not how frequently they come up. It's how much that they're doing. And Threaded Spectre is a poster child of that. On top of curing cancer, it will block bullets for you, throw out a radar signal that messes with enemy players, explode, summon threadlings, consume aim assist, right? And it's instantaneous. If it did any one of those things, it would be probably fine. But it does all of those. 120 or 140, it doesn't really matter. What are your guys' thoughts? It does even more with balance of power. Yep. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. If you want things to be as ridiculous as they currently are, require an exotic to make them work. Right? If you want current Threaded Spectre, if you really just love Threaded Spectre and how much it does, require an exotic to make it as powerful. Right now, the exotics take an already strong ability and make them ridiculous, as opposed to making an ability that is utilitarian to be your main point, right? I remember back in D1 when that's how it was designed. Most abilities were just okay. You know, the good ones were hard to use, and the ones that were more commonly used didn't solve world hunger for you. But if you wanted them to be good, you could do that. right? As an example here. Oh, wrong thing. As an example here. How many people were upset when young Akamkara's spine caught a nerf? A deserved nerf, but got a nerf. Right? If most grenades in the game were generally just okay, if there wasn't so much of an option available for everyone to use them, and then young Akamkara's spine made them, like, really deadly, that would be alright. I think everybody would be alright with that. Understood why dodging breaks aim assist and gave damage resist. You're getting away free card. I think adjusting the effect based on whether the Spectre has been in your line of sight would be best. Okay, we're talking about specific things, but I'm talking about just the idea overall of reducing not the ability uptime, but how effective abilities are. For me, it's a lot of not being able to do many interesting things in PvP. The things that are interesting in PvP are not fun to actually execute. The rest just make you a liability. Or was relieved by the nerf. I was too. But it was an issue that the base grenade was already good, like already good enough, and the young Akamkara's spine made it ridiculous. Again, it's an issue of the things that were already good getting ridiculously good, as opposed to things that are alright getting good. Yeah, I hated young Akamkara's spine too. Yes, same. I did too. I did not like that meta. It was very annoying. But I don't blame hunters for using it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thoughts. Like, how you address ability spam is not to address the spam, you address the ability. Like, if somebody kills me with an arc bolt, if I get killed by an arc bolt, let's say, I'm not upset at that. I'm like, damn. Good arc bolt, dude. You know what I'm saying? If I die to arc bolt, I'm just like, you know what, dude? Fair play. Yep, good shot. Freaking good shot, man. I'm not even upset at that. More class identity, there needs to be more trade-ups for powerful things. Agreed. Like skip grenades, they already sucked and they still nerfed them. Yeah. Cool. Alright. Let some stick 100 rev. It's okay. I've got better. So have I got this saved? No, let me save this here. Get to that later. I really like this drip, personally. And this one is... Oh, not that one. This one. One of my favorites. Really like the look of this. This is also okay. Don't mind that. That's exactly what I'm saying regarding the threaded Spectre. It makes sense. It can do so much. We can tune around skilled gunplay without losing its complete utility. Yeah, right. Sure. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Alright, moving on. Moving on. Let's talk about skill penalties. As it stands right now in Destiny 2, you're actively punished for being a better player. I'm not just talking about SBMM. I think SBMM is ultimately a fine, generally alright thing. I know it's sort of an unpopular opinion, but it's whatever. We've had it for long enough that it's an alright thing. If you had a cowboy with no hand cannon, that's criminal. Fair enough. Right? I'm talking about things like airborne effectiveness. Fellas, I believe it's kind of hard to fly through the air and shoot targets at the same time. Why are we punishing players for doing so? If you're a good player, let them be good players. As another idea, why do we punish players for dropping from too high of a jump? Why is that still a thing? If you get too high into the air, let's say you grapple, you blank, you do whatever, and you hit the ground, your sights go all over the place. It is silly. Why do we punish players for being mobile? Because you still have knees. My brother in Christ, I am the Traveler's strongest warrior. I shrug off bullets like they're nothing. You're telling me that I can't land too hard? AE was created because of hunters. But, like, is that a problem of the hunters, or is that a problem of the other classes not being able to compete with hunters? Why are we bringing down hunters rather than bringing up the other classes? Next, on the same topic of of punishing you, let's talk about rewards. You are rewarded for continuing to be good at here, but it's not nearly enough, right? Like competitive and trials or whatever, right? Trials, I believe, is to be the exception to the thing, right? But for more just like generally upper end players, for people who are playing the game on normal, right? Normally doing competitive or normally doing control or whatever, right? You are not rewarded nearly enough for being like the top % of players. Currently, the best we got. Let me load into the tower here. Heavy grid, the site should not move. It's a video game. Why do my knees pain? I'm too old. The original AE rationale being to help grounded players sounded so out of touch. Agreed. Because there's no skill-based matchmaking, only started in January, and I get placed with people that act like it's $5,000. There is skill-based matchmaking. If you are getting matched with players like that, it's either because you're at that skill bracket or people are not engaging with the game in a casual way. AE was created because it literally counted jumping as a skill gap. Yep. I had sent it last season. I have no reason to do it again this season. Sure. Sorry, sites bounce around because you're just now living after being dead for 300-something years. That's a bad reason, and you know it. It's like the Go Fast update happened, and Bungie were like, no, we didn't mean that fast. Yeah, exactly. By status getting to a wall at the speed of sound, my knee should be up pretty strong. Exactly. Like, it's stupid that we punish players for being... Like, this is a Z shooter, right? We've got airborne mobility as a main core part of how Destiny ends up interacting. Right? Right now, this is the highest sort of flex that you can bring on other players, right? For most modes that are not trials. You have trials, and then you have this. Here's what I'm thinking. Give players a like an emblem representative of their weapon or their weapon type or their weapon like archetype or whatever, right? So sidearms, hand cannons, shotguns, auto rifles, whatever, and show what placement they are for that weapon in the world. Maybe a kill count, something along those lines. Something to give players an incentive for being like that guy. Right? On a more casual game-to-game sense. Maybe we could reward players with a higher chance of getting, whatchamacallit? Freaking can't even think of it. Artifice armor. Artifice armor for getting on win streaks or being in a certain percentage of elo. Reward players for being good at the video game. As it stands right now, the rewards do not scale. There is the rewards you get as Jimmy Two Thumbs and the rewards you get as one of the best players in the world are exactly the same. There is basically no reason to continue to get better at the video game. Even if it was something more just flashy, like just for show, like a little crown over your head that showed you were a top 1,000 player or something like that, give players a reason to flex and make it more visual outside of just the freaking emblem does not do enough. Maybe give players certain shaders that they can only access or certain transmogs that they can only access when they're a certain player. Maybe give players bright dust for being a good player. Trials armor does that kinda. Yeah, not nearly enough. Make it more competitive, basically. Make it more worthwhile to be competitive. Maybe a shader like the old Trials of the Nine shader. I totally agree. Yep, shaders would be cool too. I have shaders that no one else can get. Let me show. Where is it? Here we go. Honors of the Nine. I have shaders that no one else can get, and that's really freaking cool. Imagine if Super Black, hear me out. Imagine if Super Black was obtainable from like just normal 6v6. Right? Because currently there's no way to get it right now, right? Imagine if Super Black was obtainable if you were like a top 1% player. So if you really wanted to go get Super Black, you could go get it by being a really good player. Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Make it more worth my time to be a good player. And then more than that, show off what that means. Like this is an okay way to do it, but make it more obvious what the rewards are. Right? Maybe on a screen such as this, when I hover over this, maybe down by the Pathfinder, or maybe a little node that's like down over here, or maybe like up here or something, right? Have it be a drop down that shows me, just like how like that one screen does. I don't think we can access it here. Yeah, it doesn't really show it here. But like a little drop down that shows me what I get for being like a really good player. Something that pops up on a list, sort of like this. Titles are a good place to start. Titles are an alright place to start. But there needs to be more tangible rewards for stuff like that. Competitive, sweaty players will kill for something like that, where they can really, really flex. And then just simply add a new one every year. Or every season. Right? A new shader. A new ornament. A new crown. We've already doing that with the emblem. Just a couple more things in there. Hell, if you really wanted to get kind of, like, if you really wanted to monetize it, what you could do is you could say that you have to be at this rank, and then you have to drop either bright dust or silver in order to attain it. Like, once you've got there. You should have that by the time you get there. I personally think that's scummy, but if Bungie really wants to monetize it, there you go. A specialized intro emote. Sure. Some kind of intro effect on the ship. Something. Just literally anything than other what we've got. Previously unattainable unattainable shaders from basic activities like control. I want armor ornaments, synth weaves. To be obtainable and renewable from free-to-play nonsense. I want bounties aren't enough. Sure. Get a million glaive kills and drop Super Black. Yeah, right? Anyway, cool? Nobody's getting a million kills in any one gun. Yeah, you get what their sentiment is, though. Let me head back to orbit here. Reward players for being better. Give them flair. Give them better drops of artifice armor. Like, actively reward players for being good. Doesn't need to be a gun. Doesn't need to do anything like that. If you really don't want to do that. Although I do agree that the rewards for these things should be higher. Right? Like, I should have reasons for Cataphract. Where's my Cataphract? The amount of people that jumped in trials that were PvE players to go get a PvE gun was so freaking healthy for the population. Where's my Cataphract? There we go. Oh, that's Warcliffe. Cataphract, stop jumping. Stop moving. There we go. Right? The amount of players that jumped in here wanting a Cataphract was so healthy for the population. So freaking healthy for the population. Does that mean that all of the trials loots or whatever should be like PvE top tier gear? No, but some of them should be. Some of them should be. I think some of the best PvP loadouts, or some of the best PvP weapons should be obtainable through PvE. Some of the best PvE loadouts should be obtainable through PvP. Not all of them, but some of them. Anyway. Let's roll on. Another thing that they could do, I feel like would be extremely healthy. However, difficult. This one would be a little bit more difficult for Bungie to do. A tournament scene. A Bungie-hosted PvP scene. Something where they take, you know, the top players, let's say, content creators, whatever, and they just, every season or so, Make just a simple, like $1,000. I'm sure Pete Parson can spare part of that. Just a simple $1,000 tournament bracket for players. Grenader Jake is doing that right now. Frankly, I don't think Grenader Jake should be the only one doing it. I think this should be a Bungie hosted thing. Am I saying that what Grenader Jake is doing is bad? No, not at all. Like Bungie bounties, yes, but make it to where it is like an event. Imagine a Bungie hosted Twitch event watching players. $1,000, do you think Pete is a millionaire? Yes, I do. Right? I don't think that the YouTube community or the content creator community should be the ones hosting this. I think this should be a Bungie thing. Imagine if Bungie held a tournament for like the top players, right? And then paid them out accordingly. Didn't even need to be that much. And make the hype for the game so much higher. Yeah, exactly. Now imagine if you had the option or the ability to apply for these pools if you were a certain type, if you were a certain percentage of player, right? Let me bring this back up on the screen, my flex, right? Imagine if you could only apply for this tournament if you were a top 500 player in some category somewhere, right? Maybe it would be a raffle system, right? But now you're encouraged as a good player to be one of the best players, to have a chance of entering that tournament. Can you imagine the hype that would surround this game? Top 500 Gambit, here I go. Sure. That's the thing. That would revive Gambit, ironically. That would revive Gambit. It's like everyone's like, oh, nobody plays Gambit. I'll go play Gambit. Sure. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Competitive Gambit low-key slaps. Agreed. Competitive Gambit's actually kind of fun. I think it'll turn the game into a sweat fest. That's A-okay, because it already is, dude. If you don't think it already is, then it's like, just what we're doing is we're giving them an outlet. Right? You're saying like it'll be a sweat fest. That's already a thing. Just give people an outlet for it. Right? And now certain things like win-loss ratios matter a lot more, where players don't want to quit out. Even more so, I disagree. Just for all to give you my opinion, have a good day. Let me see what you had to say here. Why do I hate PvP? So here's the thing. I know I'm not good. The problems I encountered with PvP are multiple. The first is that I have tried trials and competitive, but I get rolled. My reward for trying is often abusive messages like KYS uninstall, etc., etc. Yeah. I have thicker skin, but this isn't great, but I shrug it off. But I think the bigger killer is for me that I don't think the Crucible experience wouldn't be so bad for me if they were at least rewarding in some way. Exactly, that's what we're talking about. There was a Destiny 2 tournament by Bungie and it was recently and it was ass TBH. Where? When? And even so, it's like, just because it wasn't executed right doesn't mean we stop. If the idea is good, we persist, right? We push through. Imagine if Gambit saved Destiny. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, though. All right, let's move on. Talk about skill penalty, incongruent tournament support. I also want to mention here, like, why don't we have a spectator mode? Bungie clearly has the ability to do a spectator mode. We've seen them do it in development. Why isn't that a thing that we can just access? At the very least, give us better tools for being able to do stuff like this. Give us the ability to have a spectator cam. 7th column, chaos for July 9th to July 28th. Had no rules and it was a cheese fest. I see. Anywho, let's move on. Cheaters. I'm going to have a slightly unpopular opinion here. Cheating is a problem. It should be a better problem. But it's not something that can be easily addressed. So, I don't think there's any simple solution to it. It's not even worth addressing. Better anti-cheat. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like, I'm not going to be able to bring anything to the table here that hasn't already been said. I think 7th column is about the 5th or 6th PvP event they hosted. Right. I've heard nothing about it. Should go the COD route and make a cheaters lobby? Sure. Like, just like better anti-cheat, right? Just blanket statement. It's hard to suggest anything that hasn't already been suggested. From them all, lobby with other cheaters. Right. I love cheaters. They're so fast, right? Anyway. On top of everything, though, the biggest thing is that they need to communicate clearly with the players what it is that we're looking for. They've done a pretty good job of that more recently, but I'd love to see more discussion. I think that what they're doing on Twitter recently has been pretty good, where they're actively engaging with people and actually having a conversation back and forth. I think more ability to talk to devs is a great idea. Being able to communicate with devs is a good idea. Just generally better communication as to what players are looking for and such. I know that this is like an old school thing. This has been talked about so much. Right? But it's like just the ability to be able to talk, or at the very least hear the thought process of players or the devs. Right? If the devs are able to say, listen, we know that this isn't a thing, and like have a person up on screen like what Joe Groth did. Right? And we said like, hey, here's what's going on. I want you to hear my thought process. That helps so much for making the game or making the players, the Bungie, feel like they're actually listening. Even if I disagree with their mindset, I at least have an understanding of where they're coming from. And now I can at least direct my feedback more clearly at what they're thinking about. Right? Like if they were to come out and say, hey, here's why we're introducing a quitter penalty, right? And like, well, we're seeing a lot of players quit. It's like, okay, but I think you're addressing it from the wrong point of view. And just a lot more things should more clearly communicate what it is you're going to do. Like we talked about the quitter penalty. We talked about rewards, stuff like that. Zimming is the biggest problem because there's so many of them. You're above 2.5 in trials. Half the other people in your level are on Zim or something similar. Yeah, I feel that. Crank up skill-based matchmaking to the point where only cheaters play other cheaters. Let them sort themselves out. Lol. I mean, that kind of is what's happening. It's just Zim v Zim. Anyway, closing thoughts and comments from anybody. Anybody have any thoughts or anything? Anything that they disagree with? I want to hear those. I want to hear why. Probably going to wrap up here soon. Quick question, what is zimming? Zim is a hardware aid that allows you to have the best of both console and PC inputs. So imagine PC with aim assist, reticle friction and such. Imagine a controller with no recoil, stuff like that. Nothing to grind for in PvP. Yep, I agree. Better rewards. Think Forge could help Destiny PvP scene. Yep, I agree, but it's a big ask. Big thing I hate about PvP is the toxic environment and that has become the PvP scene. I get chewed out for having I made this for you on my emblem, but couldn't do that well in the current system meta. Oh yeah, you guys want to hear something funny? Look at this. Down here. Crazy Kovac. I'm sorry, dude. I'm shouting you out. Look at this conversation. That shit with the bow and sidearm is for the weak. I was running King's Fang. I said, glad you like it. You replied with, for people with no skill. And I replied, yo, the bottom frag goes hard, dude. Because he bottom fragged. It was very funny. Anyway. They tried that. This led to people creating verbal abuse at best, doxing, and death threats at worst. Try the Garrison in the story. I feel like if the Shizomu, I think I'm pronouncing that right. yes, that was obviously bad, right? But if we continue to allow that to make it a worse experience for everyone else, if we continue to allow that to stop us from building a better community or building a better Destiny or building a better whatever, the person who sent the death threat won. Right? They came to destroy, and they did. If that continues to be the reason that they don't communicate with us, they win. The toxic people win. I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't acknowledge it, but to continue to let it prevent us from potentially making the game better is to allow the people who sent it to be the winners. There's an r/murdered by words material right there. The lack of response goes hard. Yep, he did not reply. There's no communication cause pizza delivery shut down the talk for most 2 years. Surely there were other people who could communicate, sure. Be the guy who breaks everything so hard the Bungie has to fix it and make it better. Oh, talking about like building stuff. Complain about bows while using 340 as the Kvostov box reading the Scouts, the classic Destiny. Sure, yep. We go back to stream on a regular schedule now? Maybe. I'm finding that I like the Tuesday, Saturday streams. Maybe. We'll see. Anywho. Closing thoughts from anybody. Closing thoughts. On the r/DTG subreddit, there's also Bungie Please, of which quite a few things have been made into the game. Sure. And I think that if more of those things were called out, it was like, hey, we saw this on r/DTG, right? From this user. Or like, just even if we don't call out the specific users, like, hey, we heard this feedback from Reddit, or we heard this feedback from Twitter, right? This is where we got the conversation from, where it makes it feel like they're acknowledging the feedback better, right? That would feel so good. It feels so much better. Like, it was like, hey, a couple creators have made a YouTube video discussing this, and we agree, right? Imagine how good that feels to this community. Like, wow, they're actually listening. They actually go out and listen to this stuff. They watch this stuff. They interact with this stuff. But people don't acknowledge that. But they don't acknowledge it. Hell, I didn't know. I'm a content creator. I didn't freaking know. How you'd expect the average person to know if not even the dude who makes money playing this game knows? Is anyone having an issue with... Okay. Saw a good idea on Reddit, but Pete brought a new car so we wouldn't have the budget to do it, right? Okay, closing thoughts. Anybody? I'm going to bullet point our things. Okay? First of all, remove the leaving penalty. Make it more apparent that leaving a game will cause a loss on your card. Not your card, but your stats. Right? Make it clear that you're not getting a match reward. If you join a game in progress, give match loss protection. If you join a game in progress, give a head start on things like super so that you're not already behind. Make it so that players can, at the very bare minimum, see what map they're going to load into before they actually launch into the game. So if players see a map that they don't like, they're not penalized for leaving the game. They can go, oh, I don't want to play this. Let me go to a different lobby. Better, let players vote on what map they want to actually see. Give them an option between 2 and a random. A lot of other games have done this. It works great. Next, give players the ability to choose what they queue for. A list of different game modes that they can pick from. So they can select any number of these. The least they have selected, the least amount they have selected, the longer their queue times, and they should generally understand that. But this allows for other modes, such as like Rift, to show up every now and then, as opposed to once in a blue moon. The random, just a map mode showing up every now and then, it just doesn't feel good. Okay? Forgetting to make sure that players aren't loading into a match that's near or at mercy roll or almost finished in general. That's a little bit harder of a thing to address. But even still, if you did the two things that we suggested, where leaving becomes more of an intrinsic punishment as opposed to an extrinsic punishment, it'd feel better. And I think that would happen less often. Leaving penalty as random DCs because of penalties. No, there's so much more than that. But let's keep going. Next up, give some new game mode types that aren't just Slayer or TDM with extra steps. Game modes like an Extinction, where the map slowly gets smaller. Attrition, where you have a set amount of lives and it's a 6v6. Payload, where it's Rift, but the person who picks up has a damage resistance and incredible slowness. Infected, I don't need to explain it. A 1v1 mode. Gun game. Wildcard, where everyone in the lobby every 30 seconds gets a new random buff. A big map PvP, using patrol maps. Stuff like this. Okay? Try a special ammo system. One more time with the special ammo system. Either go back to the special meter system, which I feel was generally the better overall, with some tweaks and adjust it. Or try a mode where it is everyone spawns in with, let's say, the maximum amount they'll ever spawn in with. 6 to 8 kills worth, right? And then that's it. They'll never get more. So players are more rewarded for carefully using their ammo as opposed to just, going as it goes. Shooting it as it goes, right? This allows snipers to still have the same ammo totals as shotguns and such, and will reward players with primary gunfights if they're smart about their special ammo usage, and basically guarantee that it's impossible for a game to be completely overrun with specials because they will eventually run out. It's impossible to just not run out eventually. Cool? Ability spam. Address abilities, not from the sake of them not being up as often, but make them deal less. So many abilities do so much. They're so strong that that's where it ends up being a problem. Make it so where abilities don't do as much. Make it so it's more of a skill check or more of a utility-based thing. Swarm grenades are a poster child of this. Threaded specters are a poster child of this, of things doing too much. It doesn't matter how much you nerf them. They do so much that it's an I win button. Okay? Next up, skill penalties. Things like AE should probably just be outright removed. Stop breaking my knees when I jump from things too high. Give me more rewards for being a better player. Give me more flair, unique shaders, unique emblems, a unique glow over my character's head. Unique transmogs. Maybe bright dust. Give me the ability to show off that I'm one of the better players more clearly. This also could do something like introducing better rewards just in general. High-end competitive, high-end quick play even, high-end trials. Give better rewards that are more useful in the PvE spaces as well as PvP spaces. Show up with some tournament support, whether that be a spectator mode in private matches or Bungie hosted PvP events. And give players the option to do it if they are a certain elo. Like top 500 players have a chance of entering with a raffle. Okay? Cheaters. Just keep working on anti-cheat. Don't stop investing in anti-cheat. Lastly, communication. Oh, I guess I've got two more actually. Communication. Have better communication from players to devs, so that we're able to see where we're getting listened to or where Bungie's thought process is. Where at the very least, if we disagree, we can, at least move on from there. One last thing. Make the game less snowbally. Prime example. If your team is already winning, you have more special ammo, more super energy, and heavy ammo. Make it to where heavy ammo, as a clear place to start with this, make it to where heavy ammo will spawn towards the losing team's spawn if they're losing by a wide enough of a margin, giving them the ability to come back. Allow it so that your abilities continue to recharge even when you're dead, so you're not constantly on this losing back foot. Or make it to where things like supers come up not as fast as if you're winning, but closer to being matched with as if you were winning. So that if you're on the back foot, you're not just going to get rolled with supers for the next, minute and a half. You actually have a shot against it. The winning team still wins, but they win far less. Monthly dev stream would be good too. Yeah, sure. And that is my list. What do we think? Or just split it into a best of 3 for the first to a number of rounds. What are you referring to as here? Are you going to touch Gambit at all? No, I've already done a video on it and many, many hours of streams on it. An exotic exclusive drop for going flawless, not just to ships or spare, but maybe a weapon or two, sure. Amazing list, IMO. Sweet. Anybody who has a dissenting opinion, I'd like to hear those. That allows me to either better correct my ideas or strengthen the ones that I already have. Agree fully with Mr. Misa Man, okay? You could do 2 out of 3 rounds in some modes. First to 16 rounds on some. What I need more information. Ghost, but I wish to explore the changes a little more in depth. This is just the discussion about it. We're gonna get into it more specifically over a video. Crucible exclusive exotics. Yeah, that would be cool. I think that'd be pretty dope. I feel like there's a lot of exotics that are already kind of like Crucible exclusive, like certain weapons and such. You know? Like, as an example, like Last Word, yes, you can use it in PvE, but it's kind of a PvP exotic. Ace of Spades kind of falls into this category too. You know, stuff like that. If Mida got a buff and it was an exclusive drop from there, that'd be pretty cool. Closing thoughts, Destiny PvP cannot improve, let alone thrive, if Bungie continues to not give the proper amount of investment it needs in terms of money, manpower. Sure. I think Bungie's biggest flaw as a company is their inability to fully commit. They always partially commit to something. Where it's like, yes, it's good that this is going in the right direction, but it's not like, it's not big enough. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys are going to go through and, like, update PvP, like, really update PvP. See what I'm saying? Critical take adept weapon should not be allowed in casual playlist. Maybe. Maybe. But imagine if, like, it was an option for you if you were, like, on a 5-win streak or in, like, a top 1% of player. It was something that you could get as an adept weapon or artifice armor. Then you're like, well, you know, good enough, man. Ability up all the time, adept is pointless. Does kind of make the rich richer. That's fine. Like what I dislike the, well, we don't want to make the rich richer argument, because basically what it means is I don't want to make the players, I don't want to reward players for being good. I don't want the rewards to scale. You know what I mean? Like, dude, isn't that the point? Isn't that the point that if you're better at something, you get more rewards? You go to the, like, it's like saying, well, we don't want to give the players who are already, you know, at the Olympics the gold medals. You know what I mean? Like, nah, man. If you're good, get the rewards. Climb. All right. Folks, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it. You just stretch the skill gap wider and wider and wider, then that's a problem of the rewards that the players are getting are being too strong. Not that it's a matter of not doing it at all. It's that you've got an imbalance. Called rewards, not earnings. Rewards are for the extra effort. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and give out a TDT token. Thank you for the people who showed up and supported us. I really appreciate the monetization stuff. Bless your faces. Deuces.